boy.
What's up? We made it.
2 sleeps.
We made it. 2 sleeps.
Let's go.
I love that.
And then we can all be depressed as soon as it's over.
I know. I hate the Monday after the Super Bowl.
Hey, we got the UFL this year, though. Come on.
What's that?
The United Football League. Hello.
I don't care. Well, I will say this for our job, the Monday after the Super Bowl is the easiest show of the year.
Yes, it is.
But
do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah, you really could. I mean, there's just so many things, like the ads and all.
I mean, we'll get through a Wednesday, and then that Thursday is the hangover. Like, you're riding the emotional high. You know, maybe you won, maybe you lost, a little gambling here and there. You got some commercial talk. Tuesday, you still can get into the minutia of it. Wednesday, you do the leftovers, and then Thursday, it hits you. You got to spend time with your family. You got to start paying attention to college basketball. You got to find something else to gamble on. You know, pitchers and catchers. You got to find something. It's a tough time.
I have started dabbling in college basketball gambling.
Have you?
Simply to...
You gotta have something.
At least, well, I do like the action, but also just to force me to familiarize myself with the rest of college basketball outside of Kansas.
Yeah. Take that 30,000-foot view, or in this case, maybe like an 8,000-foot view.
It's not going well. I had Houston against Kansas, and Kansas shot like 70% against them.
Yeah.
Against the number one defense in the country.
But then they go out and lose to Kansas State.
I know. So I
don't know what to do.
So I'm dabbling in college basketball betting. I even opened an offshore account.
Yeah, you went to like Bovada or whatever.
Bet Online.
Bet Online is the other big one.
Yeah, so I use them, and
you gotta wet the beak a little bit.
Before you know it, I'm betting the MMA. I know nothing about it, but betting allows you to get into it, right? You can follow it closer when you bet on it.
Yeah, careful with the MMA betting. I was sitting over at my buddy's house once, and he was blind betting MMA, and by the end of the evening, he was down several dollars, and it kind of killed him. It stopped him betting for like 3-4 months. It
blind betting. What do you mean? Like he doesn't know what he's doing?
He knew nothing, and it wasn't like a big US event. It was like a fight night, and so he was just he was randomly betting simply based on what he thought the two guys looked like going into the octagon. It did not go well. It did not, and maybe we had some drinks, and things spiraled out of control.
Maybe,
yeah, it's I'm telling you, live betting, something that you know nothing about. It's exhilarating, but also very, very dangerous.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
But it's also fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, gambling is not about the money. It's about the action.
Yeah, it's about the juice, man. It's about and especially, like, what else do you have in your life that's giving you that kind of rush? That's why it's addictive.
Not much, except for the blow.
Well, that too. You know,
not me, though.
That goes hand in hand with the gambling, though, if you're doing it right. That's a whole Vegas thing.
Well, you're right. It's the last football game of the season. Then we'll go on vacation for 6 months, and we'll be back in August.
And let me just say this in regards to gambling. Last night, that's a clutch loss. That is a clutch loss by our Portland Trailblazers. And you better believe me and Buckley were texting back and forth, because that right there.
That was a glorious thing right there.
That's how you get to 28 wins.
That's exactly right.
That's how you hit the under.
Yep.
That. Losing to those Detroit Pistons, seemingly with 3 guys that just randomly for unknown reasons.
From the jaws of victory, baby.
Yeah, you're up all night, and then you find a way to choke that thing away in overtime. Let's go.
And to that team, beautiful. Beautiful.
Hate to say it, but we called it.
Tasty.
And you know what?
Tasty,
an assist to you, Mr. Isaac Ropp, because I threw 1 unit down on the Pistons plus 4.5.
That was a good bet.
Yeah.
And well, actually, it wasn't for most of the night.
Well, I was sweating it out there. No, that was that was a sweater.
The NBA is crazy.
Yeah, no lead is.
How do you do that?
Know. This is why I can't bet the NBA. The NFL has become a little bit like this, in that, you know, you can be up by 17 going into the half of the Lions-Niners game, and you think you're sitting pretty. But the NBA is even worse. There is no lead that I feel comfortable with in the NBA. None whatsoever. Which is why I will not feel comfortable with my 20.5 wins until it is mathematically impossible for the Blazers to get to 20.
If you get to 30, I think you're good.
We get to the 30-point lead?
Yeah.
I'm not certain that you are. I will never
What's the biggest lead ever blown in the NBA?
I'll take a look at that. I'm sure that's an easy that's an easy Google.
I don't know about ever, but when I was working in the Bay Area, I did a feature on the Warriors overcoming a 27-point deficit to the Raptors.
36.
36?
God.
The Utah Jazz defeated the Denver Nuggets 107-103, and that was 1996 at the Delta Center, and they were down 70-36 at the half.
Wonder what the live line on that was.
I don't know. And then the lead increased 2 points to start the third quarter to get to 36, and then they made the comeback.
Well, it has become one of the best storylines of the. No. It's the best storyline of the season for the Blazers.
And that is
Your and Ryan Buckley's bets.
Yeah, we're going on this.
So the only thing,
It's a journey.
It's a crappy season. No one, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's not much to follow.
No.
But what has made it interesting, and I am now invested, is the Blazers' quest to shatter your dreams
A second year in a row.
and get to 29 wins and cash the over
Those sons of bitches.
28.5 win total.
Well, and they were playing at the beginning of the year. It was so bad, and then they went on that road trip, and I was smiling ear to ear, like, "Oh, this is a lock." And then they beat the Pacers, and they beat the Bucks, and then you're getting nervous.
And then the Pistons come to town, and you're like, oh my God, there's another win.
Yeah, but then everyone's sitting down. Like all of a sudden, Scoot's out, and Duop's out, and Ayton's out. And you're like, and then they're kicking the Pistons' ass. And you're like, son of a bitch. And then there we go, right down at the end, finding ways to lose big games. Simon's with a nice ankle injury. That's fun. Maybe he can sit out for a while. Last night was a magical
Did
evening.
you see the latest on Sharp too? That he had successful surgery,
Yeah.
which is wonderful, but they will not be reevaluating him for another 6 weeks.
No, his ass is done. He's down.
Hey,
So-
that's great for you guys.
And Simon's had that wrap on his leg. Dude, that thing was like an elephant foot. That thing was wrapped up tight. I got to believe that's at least a week to 2 weeks, right? I mean, come on.
Well, don't you
Don't
think,
rush
though,
him back from that.
I think your ace in the hole on this is that if you get to the last 2 weeks of the season, maybe even longer, you know.
Now we're jockeying for draft
Yeah,
position.
exactly. A lot of those guys are going to be pulling the chute.
That's right. And other teams are going to be playing for play. Like the other teams are going to start ramping it
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Some of them.
I feel,
So some go one way, and then the other half go the other way.
look, I'm feeling pretty good at this point, sitting there at 15-36. There's some wiggle room we got, but at the
What are
same
they
time,
on pace for?
I don't feel great.
Do we have a pay? You know what we need to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to put it in my notes.
What are we pacing?
Every show, I will have a Suk Buckley bet pace. I will set the pace car. What pace the Blazers are on?
I did the old cross multiply and divide thing the other day just to check where we needed to be.
So what is
How
the
we-
record?
Oh,
They're-
now I'm gonna have to look it up again.
They're
'cause it's
15 and
changed.
36, so we're 51 in.
Okay.
82 games. There's 31 games left. Someone do some Kansas math to
I'm
figure
doing
out
it. Hold on.
what sort of
Hold
pace
on.
we're setting
on.
here.
I got it. I got it.
3 losses in a row, though. So, after that blip on the radar where that Milwaukee win, got a little nervous, but I think we've settled back into a good groove.
Turns out my math's wrong. Hold on. I forgot how to do these problems.
If a train is leaving Tulsa at 250 miles an hour, that can't happen because it's the U.S. We don't have high-speed
So
rail.
there's 82 games. I'll divide that by how many have they played?
They've played 51 games. They got 31 left.
Okay. Divided by
They're
51.
gonna carry the one. This probably
0.016. 15.
this probably shouldn't be that hard to figure out,
wait,
and yet
sorry.
we're gonna figure it out.
Hold on.
Someone,
Damn it.
Someone is saying on pace for 23 wins.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
All right.
Just hold on.
So,
I got it.
well, I'm
24 wins.
24.
24.1.
So we're feeling good, but at the same time, that doesn't lead us with a lot of wiggle room. Like they get hot and they win 3-4 games in a row, and now we're screwed. So just
I think you guys are good, but it's definitely compelling. It's the most compelling thing of the whole damn season.
exactly. And this is why you gamble. Because if I wasn't gambling, I promise you, I wouldn't have watched 1 second of last night's game.
This is what I'm saying about
And you
college
know-
basketball.
And you know whose ass was glued to the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Me. I was watching every bit of that to the point where someone even looked at me and was like, dude, you all right? Yeah. Because I was like driving home in a state of panic.
Well, we had a big meeting.
We had a
last
big
night
meeting.
with the boss.
Yes.
Buckley, you want to know what went down?
I think he told me very little.
Oh, well, the boss. Nice. The boss, Jeff Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Our boss, right there. You know, we haven't seen him in like 3 years.
No.
Since COVID. I think he's had COVID for like 3 years.
I don't know whatever happened to him.
Well, he's alive, and he emails us out of the blue the other day. He's like, I got to meet you guys. 6:30
At night, which means
Yeah.
he's coming from Hawkinson. That's
Yeah.
a long trip.
last night.
I thought something big was happening.
I thought he was leaving.
Either that or some sort of, there was an ailment that was, he's got gout or cat AIDS or
I
something.
don't think he'd call a meeting to tell us he has gout.
concept, though.
Something was going down.
Guys, I just want you to know I called you here to tell you that I have gout.
I thought maybe a health concern.
And I'm
I
now
don't
on
know.
meds. Well, he looks great.
Yeah.
He popped a couple gin and tonics in his belly.
Yep.
There
was no purpose to the meeting.
And the GM was there, and then Ryan Cooley was there, and and then we're just talking shop.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's it. There was no point.
No. We did get a couple drinks out of it, so there's that.
Yeah, I refused to pull my credit card at the end of that night. I'm like, you brought us here.
And that is unlike you, because you're normally hey, we'll chip in.
I will let them pay.
Yeah, at that point you could tell there was a disgust on your face.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, we're not.
Could this been handled in an email?
Probably not, because that wasn't really an email sort of meeting. It was more of a general vibe.
There were
a little catch up.
There were ideas thrown at us.
Yeah, it was a vibe check.
People always have ideas for our show.
There was a brainstorm.
Hey, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad idea.
No.
We'll see if we pull it off.
Yeah. The odds are against that. If I'm a betting man, which I am.
Seems as though you don't want much expected of you here.
Nah.
No, that's the whole point. Leave us alone. Let us goof off.
Keep it nice and low.
Yeah, bar is low.
That's how we do it.
All right, well, the Super Bowl is on Sunday. I would imagine we'll talk about that today. Joey Harrington will be on at 5:30. We will have Rop in the Bank, the final Rop in the Bank of the season, at 5:15.
It didn't go well for me last week. I missed both games.
Well, if I look here...
It's not been going well for me at all.
Well, I had the Niners, but the Niners didn't cover, those sons of bitches.
60, 73, 76...
Carry the one. You're doing a lot of math today.
We are down 89 units total.
Yeah, buddy.
There are 5 people that have made picks on Rop in the Bank. Suk, Rop, Buck, Schultze, and Ortner combined down 89 units, and not one of us is in the positive.
No, I was in the positive until last week when I lost both.
You are not in the positive.
Yeah, I was until I missed a week on leave, and then I went on tilt and everything fell apart.
Yeah, you have not been on a good run, but you did have a good run. We've all had runs, but look.
It's a rough go.
Yeah, so we might switch that up for next year.
Super Bowl, baby. Super Bowl. Time to bounce back.
So let's bet any number of units you want.
1 million units.
Bags of cash.
I'm going all in.
That'll be at 5:15. All right, we'll get our poll question in, and then we'll talk about Chip Kelly.
You guys shut up.
I think this is one of the more unique stories I've ever seen in college football.
Shut up.
That will be coming up 3:12 on the Fan.
Yeah.
question today. It is, as always, on X at 1080 The Fan and brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, a family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Today, we're very simply asking you who will win, Chiefs, Niners, or Taylor Swift? And right now, the Niners have a very slight lead, 35%, Kansas City 33%, and T-Swizzle 32%.
Well, Taylor Swift will win no matter what because she's Taylor Swift.
What about
Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift doesn't really lose. I don't know. I don't have a great feel on this. Again, there's this, the further this week has gone on, the more I'm leaning back towards San Francisco. But every bit of my being at the start of this said just Kansas City. They just, I trust Kansas City. They're playing better. San Francisco hasn't looked good. San Francisco really hasn't looked good since that Ravens beat down. When in doubt, take the better coach, take the better quarterback. I think Kansas City has both of those. And on battles of offense versus defense, defense usually wins in these sorts of games. Kansas City's defense is superior to San Francisco's defense in just about every way. So there's just something. I don't know. There's just it's a weird vibe I have where now I'm kind of maybe I'm overthinking it and I'm like, San Francisco, but I'm sticking with Kansas City. I don't love it. It won't be a big play for me, but again, for all those reasons I just said, I'm taking Kansas City.
Have you seen the latest that the 40 whiners are griping about?
What are they bitching about now?
Well, they keep getting screwed over is what
latest
they keep bitching
development.
about now.
I knew that was coming from old 40 whiner fan over there.
For heaven's sakes.
Ryan
Well, I didn't hear the
Buckley.
Chiefs fire alarm getting pulled in the middle of the night or
that was
early
the other
morning.
day, though.
No, it was last night, wasn't it? 6 a.m.
No, I saw that.
It was this morning.
No, I saw that at least yesterday.
No, I think they were complaining about it today because it happened yesterday. Or something like that.
Christian McCaffrey was, but it was like 10 minutes before he was supposed to get up.
That's what they said. It was.
It's the worst time to be awakened.
It was at 6 a.m., which I'm like, you're a high-level athlete, aren't you? Like,
I think the bigger gripe is the
running a
practice
mile?
field situation.
Yeah,
the 40 whiners. Is there anything else you need to bitch about before the game?
Yeah, how about just give us the same treatment as the Chiefs? How about that?
How about you shut up and deal with it?
How about I won't?
Making excuses, Buck.
Yeah, well.
You are wearing the whites, though. You know I love the whites.
I know you do.
Love the all whites.
Dude, they have great unis.
They do. Well, both are great looks, but the Niners, to me, I may be the best thing going.
Classic.
That and the Packers. There's just something great about it. But the Niners, it pops. I'm pulling for San Francisco, even though I'm betting Kansas City. It's not going to be a big bet. I'd like to see San Francisco get it done. And for all the talk about Kansas City, and again, I think Kansas City just is the right side of this. There is something when you look at it, like San Francisco has an all-star roster. You have a Hall of Fame left tackle. You have a Hall of Fame tight end. You've got two really, really good receivers. You have the best back in football. You have the best linebacker in all of football. You've got a very, very good, one of the two or three very best edge rushers. I mean, there's a lot to like about San Francisco. It's just,
well, they are favored.
And maybe that's wise. And when you look at rosters, just from a raw talent standpoint, I think you can point to San Francisco. But
I think in totality,
it's hard for me to say that San Francisco is the better team.
If you asked which roster you'd rather have, it would probably be the 49ers if it weren't for Mahomes. I mean, that's the only difference.
Agreed.
Well, and I just think that we are still sleeping on Kansas City's defense. Kansas City's defense won them a Super Bowl last year. It's gotten them to this point, and I think that's one of those that we just. Normally when we enter a Super Bowl and you've got a defense like the Niners had a couple years ago when they played in this thing the first time, or when Seattle just beat the ever-living snot out of the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning, just annihilated them, right? Humiliated them. And we normally, or Baltimore with their defense, normally when you get a defense like that, it's, we won't shut up about it. And for some reason with this Kansas City defense that has just been suffocating. Look at what it did to some really, really good offenses. Miami's offense, really dynamic. Buffalo's offense, really good. The Ravens offense, really good. And it's put the kibosh on every one of them. They haven't allowed 30 points all game or all year long. They got playmakers at all three levels, and yet we're not talking about Kansas City's defense.
They haven't given up 30 all year?
No, they haven't given up 30 all year, I don't think.
Wow. You don't think?
I need to double check that, but I'm pretty certain that I saw that today.
Pretty certain.
That they've played any playoff team, at least maybe it was with no playoff team had scored 30 against them.
Walking it back.
Let me look. I want to double check.
Okay.
I want to double check. I want to be fair and accurate.
Well, the Vancouver Ford text line can be reached at 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale, VancouverFord.com. So vote on our poll question. It's on X at 1080 The Fan. We will switch gears. We'll get back to the Super Bowl.
No 30.
Yeah, they've not given up 30 to anybody.
To anyone.
Nope.
Accurate info.
Yeah.
You are disseminating to the people.
But I wanted to be it's funny because when you said that, you're like, to no one? Now immediately in my head, I'm like, wait, did I miss that? Maybe
That surprised me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
pretty good,
because
though.
I don't think we're talking about their defense the way we have other elite defenses.
Pretty good. One topic, though, we got to sneak in here before we get back to the big game is Chip Kelly. We have Chip Kelly news today.
Dude.
Just yesterday we were talking about this, that Chip leaving UCLA seemed imminent. Yeah. I mean, you don't just go volunteer yourself to interview for lesser jobs if you're
trying to stick around.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's just basically saying, just let me go.
Yeah.
UCLA. Yeah. Well, so Bill O'Brien did take the Boston College job. Ryan Day, his old buddy, Chip Kelly's old buddy, hired him as his offensive coordinator. So Chip Kelly is leaving the head coaching position at UCLA to stay in the Big Ten as an offensive coordinator.
It's wild.
I don't know if I've ever seen a bigger depancing of a major university's football team quite like this. I mean, I know
Has this ever happened?
Not that
a coach voluntarily dumping his school for a lesser gig
and leaving $8.5. Chip Kelly gave up $8.5 million.
It's wild
to voluntarily quit to go be an offensive coordinator in the same conference as your new team.
I mean, he's never getting hired again as a head coach, is he?
You can't. This is
like there's too much stink on that. He just gave up, right?
This is Gary Anderson level. The only thing I can equate this to is Gary Anderson walking away from, I think it was $12 million, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that range. Of course, we know with Gary,
there might have been some other stuff going on.
There was other things going on. Gary had some personal issues.
As far as we know, Chip didn't have skeletons like that going on.
Not that I know of. I don't think he had a co-ed problem. He just. And that's the thing is they were going to fire him. And then he whooped USC's ass and they're like, we'll keep you around. And it was almost like when he beat USC and they're like, well, we're not going to pay you the buyout. Chip was like, you're going to fire me. Watch this. And he just kept daring him to fire him and then he wouldn't. And so eventually he was like, screw this. I don't care about the money. I've made enough. I'm going to walk away. So realize that if you're UCLA, you haven't had a 10-win regular season this century. Hasn't happened. The best you've ever done is 9 games in the regular season. With a bowl game, you've won 10 games. But you've been through what now? This will be your 5th coach. You just finished with the dead last in 18 teams in the Big Ten, dead last in recruiting, I think 89th overall in the country. You just lost what was supposed to be the future of your team in Dante Moore to another Big Ten rival. Your defensive coordinator, who was viewed as one of the best young defensive coordinators in college football and was the highlight of your team, he left to take the same job at USC, and now your head coach.
Oh, and by the way, he might be a candidate to replace you now back at UCLA.
Yeah. And now your head coach quit, left $8.5 million on the table that he said, I would rather lose $8.5 million than coach your crappy ass team. And I'm going to go be a coordinator, a demotion at one of your rivals now. Oh, and by the way, the transfer portal is now open for the next 30 days on any of your players and you can't bring any back in. I've never seen a program that was laid so bare. UCLA is not a great program. Like I said, this century they haven't won 10 games in the regular season. But this isn't Colorado. This isn't Oregon State.
No,
they win 7, 8, 9 games, and it's
still a sexy job, especially with the new conference.
You think it's a sexy job?
No.
I don't think. it is. Okay, maybe.
I don't think it is. Look, I think this escalated quickly, man. UCLA jumps to the Big Ten, and we thought, wow. USC, UCLA, that's great for them. Dude, they're an instant bottom feeder.
Yes.
I mean, this is really
it's gonna get
bizarre. Bad. It is getting bad. It already is.
Yeah, but this year, with their schedule, dude, it is going to be, if the portal comes through like I think it may, we think
might wipe them out.
Nobody wants that job.
It may just be a death sentence.
It should be a good job, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
But I don't know.
It's not.
And again, if you look at budget deficits, and I'm not talking about school, I'm talking just athletic programs. If you look at what UCLA does every year, it is one of the biggest just eaters of money across the country. They lose money every single year, and not $3 or $4 million. One year they operated like at a $60 million loss. I mean, they're like, I went through like year by year, like the last 8 or 9 years, and it's like 15 million, 20 million, 22. One year it was 60. And by the way, you play in a stadium that's 100,000 seat stadium that's an hour away from your campus that no one goes to. I mean, you're playing in front of 25 to 35,000 people in a 100,000 seat stadium. Remember when they played Oklahoma a couple years ago and they were offering free tickets to anyone that went to the Oklahoma game? You could get free tickets to other games because they were worried that only Oklahoma fans were going to show up at the Rose Bowl. That's how bad it is. So the apathy has set in. You have a completely inadequate stadium. They're trying to get a new small one built on campus, but again, the program is hemorrhaging money. UCLA might sneaky be one of the worst, what would you say, like of the non-traditional crap teams, Vanderbilt and, the programs that
like a once-storied program that now you can't come back from?
It might be the worst job.
Like a Nebraska-type situation?
That we don't think about as a bad job.
Yeah, just ask Chip Kelly. He'll probably talk eventually, and dude, I can't wait to hear what he says.
It's unbelievable.
Because they obviously, some went really south. He probably didn't like the fact that they almost fired him anyway.
Yeah.
But then, this lasted a long time, so something else happened, right?
Yes.
Like, if he were going to leave...
He just would have left.
He would have gone...
Unless he was convinced that, hey, they're just going to have to fire me and give me my money.
Yeah.
And he got to the point where he was like, well, they're not going to fire me because they're too cheap to pay my buyout, so I guess I'll just leave.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable. In his career arc, I tell you what, man, that we got to come back and talk about. I can't explain him.
It's a fall from grace
anymore.
Pretty stellar.
But he's not. But
he's not bad.
But he's not.
No.
Our recent history shows he's not good.
Well, but I disagree. I think that at Philly he was pretty good.
He was all right.
That's been a long time since Philly.
I know. San Francisco, he had no chance, and he only got the 1 year, and they had no players, right? Yeah. And then UCLA, he's actually done. That team, since he took it over, they were only winning 3 or 4 games, and now they're winning 8, 9 games.
They're 500 during his 6 years there.
I know, but that's not a good way to put it.
It's true.
Well, it is, but
they should have been a top half team in the Pac-12.
But they weren't, and so when he got there, he only won 3 or 4 games. Now he's winning 8 or 9. Like, he turned that thing around. Yeah. And there's a couple times when we've watched UCLA. During the season, I think this past season, maybe at least early, and certainly the season before that, where you look at them and go, man, that team's pretty tough.
Should be better.
That team's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, I was reading one of the college football scribes was talking about how 2 years ago with Charbonnet and DTR, they led the football in rushing.
Yeah.
Their defense this past year was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's bad, but he's had just the weirdest career arc. So we'll get to that. And who should UCLA hire? We do have some odds coming up next. But first, Buck with SportsCenter.
This is a Super Week edition of Primetime.
Talking about Chip Kelly, he has gone to Ohio State to be their offensive coordinator. And should Ryan Day be fired, he will probably be the interim head coach at Ohio State.
So maybe that's the whole thing, because I'm trying to make sense of this.
That's his plan?
Shut up.
I thought that when the Ravens ran the ball 6 times in the AFC title game, I thought nothing was going to consume my mind more than that for a period of months. I still haven't processed that. I got some sort of childhood trauma I'm working through. The Chip Kelly one is going to replace that. How a man making $6 million and is the head coach at UCLA and seemingly has them pointed in the right direction. As you said, to be fair, even though they're 500, he has turned that program from a bottom feeder into a solid upper third Pac-12 program. Beat the in-state rival, going to the Big Ten with an influx of cash, full share, unlike Oregon and Washington. So that should solve some of their financial issues. And he leaves to really take any job. Like, you think about the jobs that he applied for. He never once, he tried to get the BC job, I guess. But
he did?
Yeah, but that was previous. He was trying to leave. So he didn't try to get the BC job this year, it doesn't sound like, because maybe he knew he didn't have a shot at it. But he applied for every open coordinator job that the NFL had. And when that didn't work out, he just said, F it, I'll go do the Ohio State one. I've never seen anything like it. And it'll pay him $1 million, $1.5 million, but and he didn't force UCLA to fire him. I've never seen it. I cannot process this. This is unprecedented territory.
Yeah. Somebody, the Vancouver Ford text line, I'll read this. It says, conference realignment, NIL, and the transfer portal is going to be great for college sports. Jay Wright, who got great players to redshirt, leaves Villanova. Saban retires. Kelly leaves UCLA. Isn't this a sign that college athletics is a dumpster fire and not the shiny object it's propped up to be?
Well, I'm not going to say that one guy, doing this is a dumpster fire. I think
he mentioned 3, but also you could add to that. Like, if I piggyback off I think his thought is Jay Wright. It's not just Jay Wright. It's Jay Wright, and Jay Wright's not that old.
No, Chris Peterson did this.
Well, I just think that the changing landscape means that now the ideal candidate to lead a program is a different type of coach than it was before.
And I think that's his point. His point is Jay Wright's gone. Roy Williams bowed out. Coach K bowed out. Jim Boeheim bowed out.
It can't just be about being a good coach. It has to be the recruiting. It has to be the hustling. It has to be the transfer portaling, the NIL stuff. Like, you got to be willing to be a CEO of all that, and a lot of these guys aren't.
Nick Saban bowed out. Who else? I mean, this Boston. You have a Power 5 head coach leaving to go be a coordinator
Jeff Hafley
in the NFL. Yep. You have a Power 5 head coach making $6 million a year, leaving to the same conference as an offensive coordinator, which is stunning. Yep. I mean, to his point, there is a shift for sure. There are guys that are looking at this going, I'm not playing in this game.
No.
And, I don't know. Chip's still in college. He still has to recruit.
Well, and that's what
maybe Ryan Day is like, dude, just come here, run the offense.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Because clearly Chip didn't want to be at UCLA no matter what. I wonder if the Ohio State job hadn't come up, if Chip just still doesn't quit and just say, whatever, I'll go do ESPN, right? I'm not doing this because it's not fair to anyone. It wasn't fair to, and I'm not trying to put this all in Chip. What was happening was not fair to UCLA. You can't do that to the kids. You can't do it to the athletic department. You can't. You can't be the 89th best recruiting team in the country at UCLA and be interviewing for every job and then expect to roll into the team meeting and be like, okay, guys, here we go. You can't do it. And Chip knew that, which is ultimately why he resigned and left all that money on the table. But I wonder if after the NFL stuff didn't work out, if he called Ryan Day, or if maybe this conversation had already happened, and we'll see, how much this leaks out. If he just simply said to Ryan Day, man, I don't want to deal with any of this crap. And Ryan Day said, we're Ohio State, dude. We recruit ourselves. Everyone on this roster is a great recruiter. And like you said, sit in the office. You don't have to do a damn thing. Run my offense, call plays. When we bring kids in, meet with them, whatever. But because by all accounts, when you're in the building, Chip isn't a bad guy. His players speak highly of him. I know plenty of guys that played under him in Oregon that said he's a good dude. He's just a little bit different. And maybe that doesn't appeal to an 18-year-old kid trying to convince him to come to him. But once you're there, I don't think Chip's a guy that's going to run people off. I don't think he's a demonstrative sort of, scream at you in your face all the time sort of guy. So he goes to Ohio State. My guess is $1.5 million, maybe close to $2 million a year, and you get to work with arguably the most talented team in America, one of the top 2 or 3, and you don't have to deal with any sort of recruiting crap. You don't have any of the pressure that goes along with it, and you can go back to what you were doing at New Hampshire, which is just running an offense.
Yeah, I just...
And a guy he respects in Ryan Day.
Career arc, I just have been racking my brain over somebody that's similar, and I just cannot believe that, because we all, obviously had a front row seat to Oregon's run under Chip Kelly for 4 years. He went 46-7, dude. Yep. He lost 3 games in 4 years in the conference. Yep. He won the Rose Bowl. He damn near won the national championship. And that was his first head coaching job. So it's like, we're going, oh my God, he was the talk of college football.
Yes.
And again,
he scared Nick Saban. He scared all of those people. He changed the game.
Yeah. Innovative. And so it was like, wow, this guy is, Oregon's really lucky to have this guy. Well, you look now, and we're looking at basically 14 years later. Yeah. I'll go to my grave saying he's a good coach, because he has a winning record everywhere he's been, with the exception of San Francisco. Yeah. And that one,
he got hung out to dry.
That was not his. I mean, that was
not his fault.
He was desperate for that job, and took it, and went 2-14, and they turfed him. That's the same. That's like the year after Jim Tom Sula was there. Yeah, the Niners at that point were a mess. Yeah. So I'm going to throw that out. If you throw that out, in the COVID season they went 3-4, but I remember the COVID season, and I thought that was the first time at UCLA we saw, whoa, Chip Kelly's like, they're better. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yep, I do.
But even if let's just say we throw that out, they were 3-4. If you want to count that, count it. But if you take COVID out and the San Francisco season out, he has had a winning season in 9 of his 12 seasons as a head coach, no matter where he's been.
Yeah, 2 10-win seasons in Philly.
Actually, 10 of 12 if you take the COVID season out, 9 of 12 if you leave it in. So, and he was dominant at Oregon. It's just a really bizarre twist of fate with him. And I just don't know what to make of it. It's just, I've never seen anything like it, like you said. And
the only thing I can equate it to, and it's going to be such a weird comp, but I'm sitting here as you're talking, and I'm trying to rack my brain, and you're right. I can't think of another coach that had this. And so follow me. It's gonna take a little bit to get around. I'm going to go to women's MMA.
What?
This is going to be where my comparison goes. He's Ronda Rousey. So when he entered the world of college football, he brought with it something that we hadn't seen before. He was unique. When Ronda Rousey entered female MMA, no one had seen anything like her. She was unique. And for a brief time, there was nothing bigger, brighter, shinier, the biggest star. And she just dominated. And then what happened is the rest of the sport caught up to her. And she was no longer just this ungodly, unstoppable, what is this? Everyone adjusted. And when everyone else adjusted, she didn't have another adjustment. And it doesn't mean that she was a terrible fighter. And it didn't mean that what she did wasn't great. But she got exposed a little bit when the one thing that she did no longer was this great difference maker. Chip came into Oregon, and he was this unique guy that brought a different concept to the world of college football that we hadn't seen, and he changed it. He changed the game. I remember when we were talking to Ohio State players, and they said they were doing extra conditioning. Teams changed the way they were preparing when they played Oregon because of the style, and he would run the same play 7 times in a row. I used to sit there and watch his offense and be like, God, this seems so basic, and yet no one can stop it, right? It just was this meteoric rise, but then everyone caught up. And it was no longer this unique thing. Everyone kind of took a component to it, and people learned to adjust. And once that happened, he never learned another move. He never learned a counterpunch. And that doesn't mean that he's not a smart guy. It doesn't mean that he's not a good coach. And like you said, he's had success. But once that one element of his game, the blur, I'm not going to say it became obsolete, but it became commonplace. And everyone went to the no huddle, and everyone went to tempo, and everyone went to all that. And people got used to playing against it. Yeah. It was no longer scary.
So maybe this tells us that when he caught lightning in a bottle and he popped and it worked at Oregon and it was amazing.
Yeah.
We maybe should have at that time seen that, this isn't, it's not like he's Hal Mummy or, the Mike Leach thing. Like I was thinking of other innovators in football. much more sustainable.
Yeah. And some people did say that. But at the time, it sounded like sour grapes.
Oh, who said that?
Well,
Do you remember?
Well, I remember a lot of the SEC people talked about this.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and it was just viewed as sour grapes, and it was viewed as you can't keep up. And I do remember talking to people, and I remember hearing that people said that this isn't. People will adjust.
Yeah, it was just a little. We overvalued. How long that could last.
He was the right guy at the right time, and what he did was phenomenal.
And at the right school.
Yeah, and when he played, sometimes I remember when he played LSU and when he played some of those, and that offense didn't look quite as great, and that's what people said is. There is a way to beat this, and it's just with these physical freaks because it's not a complex offense. I heard that a million times, that what they do is very, very simple, but you have to have the horses to beat it, and you have to really be dialed in. It was like when the option, when you're playing the option, it was just something different. Well, the athletes didn't necessarily change, right? Against elite teams, he was a 500 coach.
Teams that could get early stops against him created all kinds of problems.
Yes. And the problem with it is that once we went from, elite athletes can beat a lot of schemes. But once that scheme and people had seen it and everyone started to run it, and, Gus Malzahn ran this and then it started trickling down. I mean, I think he forced the SEC, including Nick Saban and these teams, to go to spread offenses. Like I said, he changed college football. But when it went from he was the only one doing it or a couple people doing it to all of a sudden 75% of the teams, not only did you have athletes that could stop it, but eventually people were like, yeah, I'm used to this.
Well, how many teams in college even huddle anymore? And when he started this, almost everybody was.
Yeah. And it was just, it was different. That's why I go back to, I go back to the fighting thing. Sometimes people go in with a different style that no one has seen before and they're just not used to it. Again, I'll do an MMA thing. Jiu-jitsu used to be the end all to be all in mixed martial arts. And now it's just a thing because everyone learned, okay, this is kicking our ass. We're going to make adjustments, and once you've adjusted to it, it's no longer this big scary elephant in the room, and people adjusted to Chip.
Well, he was very innovative,
yes.
But at the same time, it was just a moment in time.
Yeah,
and I think we just assumed that, man, this guy's just going to keep innovating, and he just. We should have looked at it the other way. It's like, look, this is going to end at some point.
Well, it's really hard to innovate twice like that.
Beat Auburn. Right. It's like, I mean.
You're asking someone to invent, invent the light bulb and, by the way, go invent the car.
Well, and this is also complicated in a sense that there's the other thing of where he wanted to get to the NFL.
Yeah.
And he did. Mm-hmm. And then he got kind of sort of railroaded out of the NFL or helped railroad himself out of the NFL.
He's a tough guy.
And then he goes back to college because it's really his only option. And now it looks like he's angling to get back to the NFL.
No one wants him.
Well, they don't want him yet, but I bet you he's back in the NFL before long.
He's trying.
And the other thing about him is, in college, there's so many layers to him, but he wasn't really willing to play the game, which is why he had his eye. NFL is just coaching football. Yeah. That's what he wants to do. That's what he is. The recruiting thing, and now with the NIL and all this, and being at a school that is kind of behind the eight ball in terms of what they're willing to pony up for you, he knows he's not winning at UCLA. He can't keep up. And so he's just, I don't know, like he's wired different. He's not so competitive that he'll just beat his head against a wall and just keep trying to do it. He knows he's behind the eight ball. And he's like, forget it. I'll just go somewhere. And maybe too, that once you get all that money and you get all those accolades, your work ethic, yeah. That is a human thing. He seems like a pretty well-adjusted human, actually, in some ways. Maybe he just kind of got a little lazy. All of these things could be a part of the Chip Kelly story. Yeah. Of course, we won't ever really know, but it's just I just can't think of another career arc like his. Somebody mentioned Rich Rod, and that's not. Rich Rod didn't do anything in the NFL. Didn't even try.
I think they're just saying more that like the speed option and doing something that not a lot of other people were doing at the time, but it didn't revolutionize things like Chip was doing.
But Rich Rod's just been a very good college football coach. He just is. He did not have that much success at Michigan, but at the same time at Michigan, they only give you 2 or 3 years. He got 3 years there, and that's it. And by the way, his last year, he had a winning record.
And you're gone.
But they fired him. So it's like, and then he went to Arizona, did pretty good. I don't know. There's no comparison for Chip. It's very
unique.
And I'm hoping at some point to talk to him again. He's not that young. He's 60.
Yeah.
And and we know him, and we built a relationship with him. I just would love to, when it's all said and done, I don't know, maybe he'll write a book or something, but I just want to pick his brain about all this because it's just really.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go chat him up at Big Ten Media Day.
Really unique.
It'd be a nice story.
Nobody wants to go to Big Ten Media Day here, okay? Buckley, stop planting that seed. I think Dirt and Sprague are going to love it.
You could talk to Chip
in Indianapolis. Well, you get him on the horn. You're our producer. Isn't that your job?
Yeah, that's that Chip's not gonna. Yeah, okay. I'll try. I'll ask.
Tell him
Chip.
who we are. He'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I love those guys." Shut up.
Get to it, Buck.
He'll be like, "I'll go on that show."
Shut up.
Tell him to come see me in Indianapolis.
Shut in my mouth.
So who does UCLA hire? Buckley over there has odds. Next on the Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford
We will talk about the history of Mr. Irrelevant in the Super Bowl coming up next. But Buckley has a list, an odds list, of next UCLA coach. Because if you're just tuning in, Chip Kelly left.
To go be the OC at Ohio
He
State.
quit.
Yes, he did.
Bill O'Brien went to BC.
Yeah.
So now we have another opening.
Yep. Transfer portal.
So this is from bookies.com. These are implied odds. You can't actually bet them yet, but they're saying that this is where they would start. First one, Jeremy Chadwell out at Liberty, 3-1 odds.
I can see that.
Then Danton Lynn, we've brought him up. He was the D coordinator there. He's since gone to USC to be the D coordinator there, possibly him coming back, plus 350. David Shaw, plus 450.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's good.
Tony White, plus 650. He is the DC, I believe, at Nebraska. PJ Fleck, 7-1 odds.
No.
Ryan Grubb, 15-1 odds. Barry Odom at UNLV, 20-1 odds.
Ooh, I like him.
Yeah.
That's a good coach.
Done a nice job with nothing.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I don't know if he'd take that job, but because he'll probably, if he knows if he stays at UNLV and keeps doing what he's doing, he might be a hot name.
Yeah, he'll get a better job.
Jonathan Smith not on the list.
Not on that list.
He wouldn't leave Michigan State, or would he?
I would.
For his hometown school.
Yeah, I don't
Another
know.
name I've seen thrown around, Will Stein.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting.
David Shaw.
David Shaw is the one that
Hell of a hire.
That would be good for them.
If he wanted that job, I think you give him that job because the parallels to Stanford, even though it's not like Stanford,
A very challenging.
doing more with less. That's what he did at Stanford.
Well, and you know, now with the influx of cash, maybe they won't be as strapped. You know, is there a commitment there to win? You do have the stadium thing, but you're right. David Shaw, the challenges at UCLA would be laughable compared to the challenges at Stanford. But does David Shaw want to play in this new world of kissing ass and NIL?
Don't know. Pete Carroll?
Wouldn't that be something? I don't think Pete wants that job either. I don't think that's a good job. Not a bad job, but I say it's not a great job. How about that?
Well, I tell you, I think worse of it than you do.
Yeah,
I mean that they're a bottom feeder in the Big Ten. They are.
it could be a rough go. And I also don't know what sort of support in NIL they have. And if
Well,
you
that's what I'm saying.
if you don't have that in today's world of college football,
Not only that, but
you're screwed.
I mean, doesn't any coach that's going to take that job, do they talk to Chip?
I would certainly
Don't you got to place that phone call?
Absolutely.
And then what does he say? He's like, dude,
Yeah, I don't know.
be careful.
I would love to know, and he won't do it, but I would love to know what he really thinks.
Well, that's what I was saying last segment.
yeah.
I think eventually we can get there with him, but
I don't know. I don't know if he ever really spills the beans on that.
well, but you know, they talk when these guys talk, you can kind of decipher,
They'll let you in a little bit, right?
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and he'll probably say, you know, he'll be asked about it, and he'll probably be like, well, you know,
Time and family.
blah.
He'll a bunch of coach speak that'll make zero sense.
Or well, see, I disagree. I think he'll tell you without telling you. Like he'll talk about support and you know. A school, you know, it's just great to be at a school with all this support. What does that tell you? That tells you he didn't have it at UC. You know what I mean? Like things like that.
I know, but I don't know if he's going to, because ultimately I think the biggest factor in this, and I stand by it, is that Chip Kelly hates college football. He does.
But he took a college football job.
Because he couldn't get an NFL one. I think he hates, how about this? He doesn't hate college football. He hates recruiting. He does.
I think he hates managing college football. Like they're the administration of college football.
I think he hates dealing with boosters.
And he took the closest X and O's job he could get in that.
He hates dealing with boosters. He hates dealing with faculty. And I think he really does ultimately hate having to kiss ass. He is not good at it. It's what got him fired in the NFL. And in today's world of college football, you have to kiss the ass of 18 and 19-year-old kids.
Well, that was the thing in San Francisco is, he got a little bit of a rough shake there, but if he had played nicer, he would have lasted
They
longer.
hated him, and they hated him in Philadelphia. So that's where I don't know if you ever really get the true story. But
All right, coming up next, the history of Mr. Irrelevant in the Super Bowl. It's 401 on the Fan. Super Bowl at 5:15. Back to the big game now. We spent a lot of time talking about Chuck Kelly, Charles Edward Kelly.
Yeah, stole the show.
He really did.
It's chicken.
I will be interested to see his press conference at Ohio State and just kind of I don't know.
Did they do a press conference with an OC?
They'll have a press conference with Chip. I mean, it's Ohio State. They have a press conference about everything, and I'll be interested to see the level of crap that he spins about working with a guy like Ryan Day, an opportunity to be at Ohio State. Because, I mean, those questions are going to be hard to ask, and someone is going to point blank ask, dude, how bad is it at UCLA? And I want to know if I at least from the letter that I saw today, the resignation letter and what UCLA put out there, it's not.
They took the high road.
They took the high road.
Yeah.
So
they just said, we appreciate you. And
I'm assuming that Chip will probably take the high road as well. So I'll be interested to see.
All right. So the Mr. Irrelevant is playing in the Super Bowl. If you don't know who Mr. Irrelevant is, it's the last pick of the NFL draft.
Yes.
And that is Brock Purdy of your San Francisco 49ers. He was Mr. Irrelevant. Yep. And if you're wondering how Mr. Irrelevant has done in the Super Bowl, I'm going to tell you.
Ooh, please do tell. Have we ever had a meaningful Mr. Irrelevant?
I don't believe that a Mr. Irrelevant has thrown a pass in the Super Bowl, but I don't know about the other positions.
That is correct. So first, the history of Mr. Irrelevant. In 1976, Paul Salata played receiver at USC and then in the NFL. He coined that term. And then he had an event in Newport Beach, California, where he would announce the final pick in the NFL draft every year, all the way up to 2013.
And that's where this came from?
And then his daughter ultimately took his place. But yes, each year, Mr. Irrelevant gets to spend a week in Newport Beach where they enjoy a trip to Disneyland, among other things.
Yeah, I played. One of my teammates was Mr. Irrelevant.
Who's that?
Tavita Ofanhangawe in 2000 probably? He was a year or two older than me.
Did you know that? Did he show you the Lozman Trophy?
No, but he did get the parade. They do a thing at Disney for him.
Yeah, so there's a trophy, and it's similar to the Heisman Trophy, but the player is fumbling the ball. Seriously, that's real.
Yeah, I remember talking to Tavita about it, and he said it was really cool. Like, they did a lot for him, and he got some cool stuff, and it was neat.
Irrelevant Week had so much publicity back in the 70s that it forced a rule change in the NFL because the Rams wanted the final pick. They intentionally passed their pick before to the Steelers.
Really?
And then the Steelers didn't want it. They refused to make the pick. They're like, no, we want Mr. Irrelevant. And so they both refused to make the pick.
That's kind of fun.
So Pete Rozelle had to step in and he made the Rams pick it.
Huh.
So it's called the Salata rule, and it does not allow a team to skip their final pick.
I had no idea. Didn't know that was a thing. So everyone wants Mr. Irrelevant.
Well, back then it was a big deal.
Yeah, now
it's like
whatever.
So Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. We have 2 Mr. Irrelevants to have played in Super Bowls.
Okay.
The first one is Marty Moore.
Don't remember him at all.
Marty
Moore. It sounds made up.
Bloop, bloop.
Good old Marty Moore. This is like back in the 1960s.
The first player picked last in the NFL draft to win a Super Bowl was Marty Moore. He was the first Mr. Irrelevant to not only play in a Super Bowl, but he was also the first one to win one. Let's go Super Bowl 21.
Okay.
And 26.
So we're going.
36.
We're going a ways back. In fact, I'm scrolling through here, Mr. Irrelevance, and there's only like 3 that I've even heard of. I mean, they're not many. Like, I remember Caleb Wilson was a tight end at UCLA. Chad Kelly, the quarterback out of Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
He was Mr. Irrelevant.
Jim Kelly's nephew?
Yeah.
How about this one? The second player to win a Super Bowl as Mr. Irrelevant, kicker Ryan Suckup.
Ryan Suckup, huh? Okay.
Yes.
Check that. I've heard of Ryan Suckup.
Yes. He was drafted by the Chiefs in 2009.
Won it with the Bucks?
Had a very good career. He played for the Chiefs and the Titans, but he won it with the Bucks, yes.
Yeah, he was their kicker.
2020.
Old Tom Brady.
Yep.
Okay.
And so he beat the team that drafted him as Mr. Irrelevant.
Suckup said, "Suck it. Deal with this."
So that's it.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that the vast majority of players that are Mr. Irrelevant, just like every other player drafted in the 7th round, the average career is probably. I mean, the average career in the NFL is 2.5 years.
It's pretty rare to see what's going on with Brock.
The other one I remember being close, he was not Mr. Irrelevant, but Marcus Colston was the 4th from last pick, and then he had a touchdown in the Super Bowl with the Saints.
I mean, the idea, because once you get to the back half of that draft, you're just guys are throwing darts at
A lot of guys aren't making rosters.
No, I mean the vast majority. After round 4, most of the guys aren't making rosters. So you're throwing darts at that point. So the idea that anyone in the 7th round is going to have some sort of massive impact, let alone the very last pick, I mean the odds are pretty slim. And the fact that because here's the thing, if Brock had been the 4th from last pick, we wouldn't talk about this the same way.
Wouldn't be as big of a story.
He'd be a 7th round pick, and obviously it'd be a story. But the fact that it's the novelty of being Mr. Irrelevant, and that we've never seen it before.
Yeah, I think yeah.
And I'm telling you,
that's right.
When you get down to the 7th round, and this is what the difference between being a 7th round pick and being a free agent, there is none. Like, in fact, there's a lot of guys that when you get to the back half of the draft, they'd rather not get drafted because then you can.
Well, that was going to be my next question: is how many undrafted free agents have gone on to do big things in the Super Bowl? Because there have to be a handful.
Yeah, there's
more than
plenty.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Tony
for
Romo.
sure.
Oh wait,
yeah, there's a lot of undrafted players that go on to nice careers. But look, there's something to be being drafted. But there's a lot of the agents that'll tell you if we get to the end, it doesn't matter. We'd rather you not go to the final handful of picks because the signing bonus doesn't make any real difference there. You're not guaranteed any sort of slot, and we'd rather go to a place that maybe we can pick a better situation. Maybe there's a better relationship with the coach, or their style fits you a little bit better, as opposed to just being drafted and crossing your fingers for the best.
To answer your question about the undrafteds, Mr. Buckley, you have a man by the name of Kurt Warner.
Yeah,
heard of him.
That would be
Pretty
a good one.
You have Wes Welker.
Again, pretty good. Wasn't James Harrison undrafted?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think James Harrison was drafted either. And last time I checked, that interception against the
99
Cardinals,
yards.
One of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history.
kind of a big deal.
I hated that play. I bet on Arizona.
Did you?
Yeah.
And think about it, man, because that was the end of the half. So had he gotten tackled, that all is for
Amazing play.
Yeah.
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon was undrafted? Mm-hmm. Well, because he was a CFL guy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any Hoosies. Although, did he win a Super Bowl?
Warren Moon did not win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But if you look up the NFL all-time undrafted team, dude, there's a lot of really, really good players that come out of that.
All right, up next. Are we ready for the Doink Cam?
Doink.
Seriously. It's a new thing this year.
Really?
And it might be the best thing we'll see the whole game.
Okay. I'm intrigued. I think I know what this is probably in reference to, but.
That's next on The Fan.
Big game coverage.
Cinnamon Skull news. But first, something new at the Super Bowl this year. Since CBS is broadcasting the game, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz will be on the call. Are you ready for that?
Not really, but let's deal with it.
They will have something called the Dink cam.
So I'm guessing this is in case someone hits the upright?
Correct.
Is it the upright or the crossbar?
Well, it's actually going to be a little more complicated. So the last year, well, you can go all the way back to this wasn't Super Bowl, but it was the playoffs with the Cody Parkey double doink.
Yeah.
But last year in the Super Bowl, Harrison Butker missed a kick in the first quarter. You probably don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
But it doinked.
Okay.
And the vice president, the CBS Sports vice president of remote technical operations.
Seems like an interesting title.
His name is Jason Cohen. He happened to be under the goalpost in the end zone for the doink. And he was with another guy by the name of Mike Francis, who is the vice president of engineering and technology at CBS Sports. So two dorks.
All right.
And he turns to him and he said, after that, he said the sound of the miss reverberated in their entire section. It was really loud. And he was like, and they both looked at each other and they said, dude, next year, cameras.
Those scientists better check their hypotenuses, dude.
So they pulled out their hypotenuses.
Yeah. And we came up with the doink cam?
Yeah. And it is not, the whole process is, there's an athletic article on this. The whole process has not been easy. It said months of planning and testing has produced a set of doink cameras for Sunday's game. They will feature 6 total 4K cameras that have been inserted into the Allegiant Stadium uprights on both end zones.
Okay, just like little kind of pinhole things.
Yeah, two of the cameras on each upright are positioned to face out to the field on a 45-degree angle. Another faces directly inward to get a side profile shot of the ball as it flies through. They have high-res zoom capabilities and super slow-motion replay capabilities. CBS will be able to get fantastic replays of any field goal or extra point. But the dream will be if someone hits the post.
We can see it heading to the post.
For the doink.
Can I ask so there obviously was an official title of a butt ton of money that went into this. Do we really, the doink cam? Like we already have 4K cameras everywhere. Whenever we see a missed kick, we get close-up shots of it. Do we really need to spend $1 million to develop a shot where we can see the ball?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Yeah, we need that?
Yeah. Let's go. I think it'll be cool. I actually believe that, forget the doink. It would seem to me that these would be good for, the every once in a while there's a field goal where
it's a little hard to see.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
From the angle, they'll call it good, and you're like, did that go? I feel like these cameras are going to have pretty good angles on that.
The ones that go right over the top of it,
exactly.
And you're like, would it have hit? Would it not?
But it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't. How would that make a difference? Because
it's just a different
look
it
wouldn't.
at it.
It would just be
It's like having a pylon cam or something like that.
Well, exactly. The pylon cams are cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And you probably would have said 5 years ago, why do we need that? Well, because it's kind of cool.
The only thing now is that everything has gone into this, and now there's not going to be anything that even comes close to it being needed at all.
Well, we don't need the doink. Let me just say that we don't need the doink cam.
But if there's a doink, we do.
No.
Because it's the Super Bowl.
We need the doink cam, dude.
we need it.
Yeah.
We already have a 4K. The only difference will be that there will be like a half a second shot where we can see the ball heading right at the camera. And we'll be like, oh, man, awesome. And then we'll never think about it again.
They're also saying in this article, it's not worth going into, but one of the guys who's a producer for the Super Bowl game said this is going to be really hard to get that footage quickly. Because if there is a doink, people are going to want that replay right away.
We can't get that right away?
Well, he said it's pretty complicated.
Because you have multiple cameras, you got to decide which angle you're I bet it's the kind of thing that it'll happen and they'll give us the replay coming back from break.
Yeah. And they said they're going to have a guy who just watches the doink cams and he will notify the producers if something memorable occurs, if something is worth airing.
It's crazy how much personnel they put on this stuff. It's just one person to watch this one camera.
The amount of overkill that goes into the Super Bowl.
But it's not overkill, dude. You know how much money? 23, I was reading today, they said $23 billion will be bet on this football game. Yes, on this one
Just
game.
this one
And
game.
isn't it up like 16 billion from last year
Yes.
because so many states have legalized now? or something
Exactly.
Like that?
It's way up. And they're saying 1 in 4 Americans will bet. 68 million people will
and
bet
that's
on
why
the
we
game.
need the Doink Cam.
Well, all I'm saying that to show is how big of how much money this event means and how much it goes into it. Yeah. You better have the damn Doink Cam. You're making what'd you say the other day? They're making like $2 billion off of this.
They're saying just the game alone.
Yeah, I think you can invest in a Doink Cam.
$2 billion.
Yeah, let's not get a little chintzy with our spending here, huh?
I saw one today that said, because there's no way to really know, but they said Vegas, the economic impact would be about $1 billion in Vegas. With this as well. I mean, it's we don't do anything bigger than this, with the exception of maybe like when the World Cup comes. And I don't even know if in the United States it'll be that big. I know worldwide it is, but we don't do anything bigger than this. This is American royalty.
And that's why you need a Doink Cam.
Yeah.
We want every stone unturned.
Like, how many people watch? I'll be interested to see because this election coming up will be a big deal. How many people will watch? At some point, we'll watch election night coverage versus how many people will watch the Super Bowl. Super Bowl will be like 115 and change.
I don't know how many people usually watch election coverage.
Because you would think that that's a bigger deal than the Super Bowl, but apparently it's not.
No, it isn't.
It's not. This is the most important thing that we do in the United States is we put on the Super Bowl.
You're damn right.
It's leader of the free world and democracy on the line, whatever. Damn it, I need the Doink Cam and I need it now. And don't give me this horse crap about taking too long to give me the footage.
That's right.
I want the footage now.
That's right.
Fire away, big boy.
According to Nielsen, it's pretty steady. Election night TV ratings, 67 to 71 million viewers. So that's half of the Super Bowl.
Half of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So in theory, the most important thing that we do as a country every 4 years gets half of the people to tune in to the Super Bowl. And think about how long you have to tune in on election night. The Super Bowl, you have a brief window, and yet we still double it up. God bless America. God bless the Super Bowl and the Doink Cam.
It's good stuff.
Americans will say 1.3 billion on beer this Sunday. That from Big Jeff, Vancouver Ford text line. I also saw this: 725 chickens dead just for the Super Bowl.
For the wings?
Yeah.
Wait, 725?
725 million.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that seemed low.
What if they just cut off their wings and let them live?
Well, you got to have the breasts and you got to have the thighs. And,
but you know.
Yeah, Yeah. Over 1 billion wings.
I saw a PETA ad today that said, "We need our wings, you don't." To all wing eaters, and I saw someone quote tweet it and said, "Fly higher, bro. That's why falcon wings aren't a thing."
Gosh.
Wow.
Trolling the poor PETA people.
Trolling chickens.
I guess.
That too.
Yeah, I just thought that's just for this. 700 plus million genocide chickens going down so you can shove your fat face full of wings.
I was also reading one other note on gambling because it was in the same story where they're saying 23 billion will be bet on this football game, one football game.
Lord.
This story was going into the history of the NFL and gambling. Mm-hmm. And it goes all the way back to Rozelle suspending Paul Hornung and Alex Karras. Right? Yeah, exactly. But then in 1976, they hired Jimmy the Greek in the 70s.
Yeah, I remember that.
And of course, most people just remember, if you're our age, you just remember Jimmy the Greek getting fired for being a racist.
Talking about the blacks.
Well, he said that, he didn't say, he suggested that slavery made black players better athletes.
Yes.
He was fired the next day.
Yeah.
But Jimmy the Greek was on the NFL Today show, which was a huge show even back then. And he was a gambling guy.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing in this story was he would never talk about point spreads or anything. The way he would let people in on sort of what the lines are, because remember that back then there was no, you don't have DraftKings. You can't just look up the point spreads. You're not in Vegas.
None of that's live.
You had to go to your local bookie.
Exactly. None of it's live. The way he would communicate lines is he would predict the final score. So if you were careful and you knew what he was doing, you could learn the point spread that way by listening to Jimmy the Greek tell you what the final score would be.
Interesting. I can't say that I knew that about Jimmy. I just knew that he had some controversial takes. But yeah, the NFL and just sports in general used to treat gambling like it was the worst thing ever, and now, it's everyone's in bed with it because it means, God, how much? $23 billion just on this game?
Yeah.
What a staggering number.
Staggering.
Oh my
Shocking.
God.
I'll have $1 billion of it.
I'll have a couple of shekels on this, but I will say in the Super Bowl, I don't go crazy. I mean, I bet a little more than your traditional game, but it's not like I load up just because it's the Super Bowl.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I do.
Like,
Last game, let's go.
No, there's so many more opportunities to just spray bets around.
Yeah, it's like a whole season of bets. Like, have you gone through those props?
It's almost too much to try to get through.
It's too much.
I've got, but I'll bet the score, obviously the winner, and then I got like 3 or 4 prop bets, but it's like rushing totals. I really like the rushing totals. Like if you look at the number of carries for Pacheco and rushing totals for CMC, like I got stuff like that. But man, I ain't getting into the whole Taylor Swift and Gatorade and all that.
No, but even well beyond that, there's so many different things that you can cross bet against each other, and they're like, there are way more players involved in potential props than would be in a normal game, and which you can bet on which team throws the first challenge flag, and there's actually numbers that suggest one over the other. I'm betting that one, but that's not for every game.
By the way, I looked up Jimmy the Greek's comments because I remember he called them the blacks.
Yeah,
and it's more uncomfortable than you even remember.
Can you read him for us?
He said
in your best Jimmy the Greek voice.
I don't remember. Did he have like he looked like a Jersey accent, right?
Yeah, he was from back east.
I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna sound like I'm.
Could you mix in a black?
he said the black is the better athlete to begin with. Which again, I remember that part. I remember him calling him the black. You can't. First off, don't.
I just have always preferred the whites.
He said because they're bred to be that way because of the high thighs and the big thighs that go up into his back. They can jump higher, run faster because of the bigger thighs. He's bred to be better because this goes all the way back to the Civil War during the slave training. The slave owner would breed his big black to his big black woman, and that would lead to have a big black kid.
Oh
See?
my God.
That's where it all started.
That's what he said on the show?
That's what he said on the show. I remember specifically the term the black, which is why, I was like, I remember that, but I don't remember it being that bad, but yeah, it's that bad.
Well,
stop saying the black. Don't.
Well, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad.
I'm still cringing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What year was that?
That was.
Because I remember that.
Yeah, 1988.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
13-year-old me was shocked.
he had been on this since 1976. So he'd already made several questionable comments, I guess.
Oh, had he?
Yeah. Yeah. He had already
Jimmy the Greek.
He had already made some interesting things.
Whatever happened to him? Like after that, was he the first sports canceled?
Oh, he might have been the first sports canceled because back in the day, you couldn't get canceled. Like people would say that, and then the country would be like, "Yeah, that guy's right." He died from diabetes in 1996.
All right, so 8 years he lived.
Yeah, the one that
he was old anyway.
Yeah, he was old anyways. So yeah, he was dead in 96, and it does not look like he did much after that.
What did he do before that? Like, why was he their gambling guy? Was he a Vegas guy?
I'd have to do some digging here. I'm on his Wikipedia page. When we come back, I'll give you some Jimmy the Greek news. I know we're over.
Well, we got in the news, dude.
Oh well. Again, I'm gonna have to read about this.
Come on!
I have human skull news.
I'm interested in human skulls.
Local human skull news. That's next. Here's Buck.
This is a Super Week edition of
when he was 10, he was growing up in Ohio, and he just started hanging around gangsters, and he got into sports gambling when he was a kid, and had a rough childhood. His mom was murdered, and so he just started hanging out with he's kind of raised by gangsters and bookies and people like that. He was a convicted felon too. He got caught running numbers and was busted, and then Gerald Ford pardoned him.
Running number? What does that mean?
Well, like back in, he got caught with gambling information and being a bookie, which was illegal. So he was a felon. And then in 1974, Gerald Ford, he was friends with like a bunch of people. Gerald Ford gave him a presidential pardon for some unknown reason. And then he started writing a column for the Las Vegas Sun, a gambling column. And that's what led to the CBS thing. And then he was on CBS, and I guess he was a big, like, everyone knew him in the gambling world. And then he had some questionable comments. He at one point said that all that was left for the whites was coaching, and if the beautiful blacks took that, then the whites would have nothing left.
The white.
Yeah, he made a lot of weird.
White pack.
Yeah, those weren't his only comments. He had some weird views, and then he died shortly thereafter from being an old man and complications. But yeah,
so he was from Ohio.
He was from Ohio.
Okay.
His parents were Greek, and obviously,
his name was Snyder, Jimmy Snyder.
Yeah, Jimmy Snyder. But even that, like, his actual name was a big old long Greek name, but they changed it when they came over. His parents were immigrants, and yeah, he just grew up in a rough neighborhood and started hanging around dudes. And he said his first bet that he ever made when he was a teenager, he bet $10,000 on the 1948 election between Thomas Dewey and Harry S. Truman.
Where's a teenager get 10 grand back in that day?
I think I know where he got the 10 grand. It's
from the mob?
Some Henry Hill action.
So he was a runner?
He was a runner. Yeah, sounds like. So, yeah, he said that he loaded up because he said that Dewey had a mustache and American women didn't trust men with a mustache. So he bet on Truman. He said it was his first really big bet, and it paid off. And yeah, he was a professional gambler. He was a wise guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I played golf the other day with a guy who worked around Billy Walters. Mm-hmm. And I was asking him, I'm like, he's spent years in Vegas. And he said, I was asking him, like, who are these?
Legendary gambler, for those who don't know.
Yeah, sorry. Billy Walters is the guy that Phil Mickelson got in a tiff with, because Mickelson was intertwined with him, betting millions on football. Billy Walters is, notorious sports gambler, probably
the most famous sports gambler of all time.
And
he bets millions.
Just got out of prison.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it, and I was curious. I'm like, when you always hear the term sharps, Billy Walters is a sharp, right? Yeah. Who are sharp? Like, who are these people? And he said, dude, he goes, they are all a bunch of dorks behind computers.
Just super smart guys.
Yep, just number cruncher, dorky guy. Not all of them, but, like, we think of, like, Jimmy the way, hey! And then, Billy Walters is a pretty intimidating guy. And then, like, but really the guys behind the numbers, behind some of these bets, are just little computer geeky dudes.
Yeah, that just
that live offshore and run money through offshore accounts.
Well, and it's still, when you're in that line of work, like, you're around scary people. Remember when Paul Horning and
for sure,
who's the other one? The Lions guy,
Alex Karros.
Yeah, when they got their suspension, dude, they didn't say crap. They took that suspension, they sat their ass down and didn't say anything to anybody, because Paul Horning knew some dudes, and they had an opportunity. Paul had an opportunity to clear his name, and all he had to do was tell on some people, and I think Paul knew what was going to happen. And that's like that whole Chris Webber thing. Chris Webber will not talk about the timeout, and a lot of people think that one of the reasons why is that, Chris was involved in some things. And when you're involved with some things with those people from the Midwest, you don't say jack-esque. 'Cause everyone always thinks of the mob like in New York. The Midwest was I went
to college with a guy by the name of Benny Vitale.
Yeah.
And Benny Vitale
sounds like a sharp.
Well, he was just a guy that I went to college with, but he took me to his house once in Kansas City for a I don't know, it was like a
big mob town, by
a holiday. Oh my God, his dad could not have been more in the mob.
Yeah.
And it was the most intimidating. Yeah. I've never seen anything like. I'm like, hello, Mr. Vitale.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. And they said there's a lot
sitting in his chair.
a lot of people that said that the mob was way more active because you could get away with more and you could control things more in the Midwest than you could in the big cities.
Well, anyway,
Isn't that great? He's like, you should have gotten involved in him. Kiss the ring a little bit. Become a runner.
I know. I was.
You could have been Roppy the Greek.
I know. Hey,
Hey.
and now look at me. If I had the confidence I have now back then, I probably would have been like, "Hey,
That's got to be scary.
Mr. Vitale, dude, he was terrifying."
Even as a kid, you knew there was a presence
Oh my God. Well, and his name was Vitale.
in Kansas City.
Well, his kid wasn't just Ben; he was Benny.
Benny.
Hey, Benny.
And I mean, come on. Before I met Mr. Vitale, there were rumors.
Yeah, you knew what's up.
And Kansas City is notorious for the mob.
Yep.
February 9, 2024. Time now for In the News. I'm your noted newsman. Hello. Thank you. Today is International Cut the Cord Day.
I did.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
It is also Chocolate Day.
You know.
Two of your least favorite things. You don't like having cut the cord, and you don't like chocolate.
No, I'm thinking about going back to the cord.
It is not your day.
Yeah, can't say I'm the world's biggest chocolate fan.
The human skull news comes to us from Brownsville.
Brownsville.
Yeah, you ever been to Brownsville?
Can't say that I have.
So Brownsville is just off of I-5 in between Corvallis and Eugene. A human skull was discovered just outside of Brownsville, and it has prompted an investigation, according to the Lynn County Sheriff's Office.
Well, I would hope so. If
you got to look into
that. If you find a human skull, you can't just do what I do and poke it with a stick. You gotta investigate.
They found it just after 9:30 a.m. while clearing some brush. Some guy, and then he called the cops.
I would hope so. Do we know if this is like a fresh sort of thing, or are we going ancient? What are we dealing with?
Again,
we don't know.
We know nothing.
Yeah.
Detectives are working to determine the cause, how long the skull's been there, and who it belongs to.
Yeah, it's a little.
But that's
it's a little freaky.
Jarring.
Yeah.
Can you imagine coming across a human skull in your yard? You're raking leaves, and you rake up somebody's head.
That would be troubling. Well, I would assume it would be an animal or something. I wouldn't naturally think that that's a human skull, but you never know. Remember a couple years ago, someone was at Blue Lake Park and a rainstorm and a body had washed up, that had been covered in mud. I remember that. You're just out there with your kids, and you're going on a little walk in a park, and you're like, oh, there's a decomposing body. It's a real Law and Order sort of thing.
It makes you wonder how often you are close to a dead body that you don't even know it.
Yeah. I think about that because I take my dog up to the woods sometimes, and I just turn him loose, and he's always sniffing around stuff, and that thought does cross my mind. What if he comes back? He comes back with a femur. You're like,
Put that down.
Yeah.
That's not yours.
We're just gonna turn around and walk away at this point.
Yeah, I think. Oh, would you let's say your dog goes and digs up a femur.
Yeah.
And he brings it back to you and he drops it at your feet and he sits and he looks at you crooked head.
Yeah.
So he clearly knows it's a femur, but he can't speak to the cops. So you don't.
Yeah. He knows. He knows to keep his mouth shut.
Do you just
bark once if you know?
Do you keep walking?
You got to dial 911, right?
Do you?
Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends. It's a situational awareness sort of thing.
Looks like a femur, but it also looks like a piece of driftwood. I don't know.
Situational awareness.
Good little factoid here. The comment section of the YouTube stream telling us that coincidentally Brownsville is where they shot Stand By Me, which was all about a dead body.
Oh, yeah. Ray.
Oh, yeah. What was the name? Ray.
They shot Stand By Me in Brownsville, Oregon?
Yep.
I knew it was shot in Oregon. I didn't know it was
I knew it was Oregon, too. I didn't realize it was Brownsville specifically.
Vancouver Ford text line, Ray Brower.
There it is, Ray Brower.
Hey, those little hotels, little small hotels in Tigard, And you drive by them and you're like, who stays in these?
Well, I got a good idea who stays in them.
Well, yeah. If you've ever wondered what happens at those hotels,
I got a good idea.
We have a story. Next on The Fan.
This is The Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories, brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Quick review of the trade deadline. Very content with how it went. Like the way the team is playing. We've been extremely active and transactional the last 2 years. Wanted to give these guys a chance to settle in, gel, connect.
Blazers GM Joe Cronin. Can I play something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead and climb out of my ass for a while.
Similarities?
Yeah, there's a...
AI Brian Ferentz?
Yeah, there's a vibe
And
there.
Joe Cronin?
Yeah. Got a real good idea.
I don't think it's Tigard. I think it's still Portland, but it's close. I was on 99W once. I think I told you the story where I was gassing up at a Chevron or something, and one of those little hotels was across the street. And it's those ones where it's just one story, and it just looks.
We all know. We've all know those.
And the room closest to the road, it looked like it was the bathroom window. Opens up, and some woman starts screaming, "Help!"
What do you do there, cowboy?
Drove off. No. I was going to get my phone to call 911, and the gas guy said, "I got it. Don't worry about it."
He's like, you know what?
That's Karen.
This happens quite a bit.
I know her. It'll be fine.
That's a dicey situation though, because you want to help, but at the same time,
I want out of there.
I don't think it's a good idea to charge into one of those hotel rooms.
I'm gonna run over there and dive in the window, and see if I can help out.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough.
I want no part of that.
There's one right on Highway 14 that I've driven by 1,000,000 times in my life, and every time I drive by there, I think to myself, what in the hell would entice someone to stay there? And yet I see the glowing sign all the time says no vacancy, so someone's staying there. By the way, not an update done to that thing in 30 years.
Yeah, it's a front though. No vacancy.
Yeah.
Like, leave us alone. We're running drugs through here.
Something's up.
So this is from Tigard. Federal authorities seized 370 gallons of liquid heroin.
Good Lord.
And arrested 4 on drug trafficking charges after the suspects were apprehended at a hotel in Tigard last month.
Am I wrong, or is that a lot of liquid heroin?
That's unbelievable.
370?
What is the street value of that? That's crazy.
Because you think about a 50-gallon drum.
Yeah, and then you think about how
of
much, like, I would imagine is a personal amount for use. That seems crazy.
There were 8 55-gallon barrels weighing 1.4 metric tons.
Lord.
Inside a truck that they had parked.
Am I dumb that I didn't really know there was liquid heroin? Like,
no, I didn't know that either.
I always thought you had to cook the heroin and then and then you inject.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not aware. Boy, I'm not up on my heroin. Lame.
The individuals who were charged include 3 people from Yakima.
By the way, you ever driven through Yakima?
Yakamaniacs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if I had to come up with a city in Washington where this heroin came from, I mean, I feel bad because a lot of it's like reservation. It's just a very, very, it's a rough town driving through.
Yeah. The 4th person, they don't know where they live, but all 4 individuals are believed to have ties to a Mexico-based transnational criminal organization.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that
federal charges, of course.
I don't think that the 8 barrels of liquid heroin, that doesn't really seem like a mom and pop sort of operation. Seems like more of an upscale, operation.
Isn't it just wild though? Like, imagine you're just staying in that hotel.
Next to you
are 4 like drug cartel guys with 370 gallons of liquid heroin in the truck parked next to your Subaru.
They probably know how to party. I don't know. Like, you knock on that door. Okay, it's going down. That's why you don't stay at those hotels. I'm guessing, or maybe that is why you stay. Do they you get like a Gatorade bottle? Like, hey, can I dip that in there real quick and just, siphon a little off the top? How's that work?
Well, apparently this was part of an ongoing larger investigation where they got tipped off that a bunch of drugs were being transported into Oregon.
Yeah.
And they caught this truck, and there was a red pickup following it. And they were spotted near Bonneville, headed west, made a stop at a commercial parking lot in Beaverton, and finally parked together at a motel in Tigard. And it was at that motel that they descended upon the room.
Busted.
Pretty wild.
It's a lot to get busted with. Well, now we know what goes on at those hotels.
That's pretty much it.
Can I also make a bold statement? I think that's the best thing that goes on at those hotels. If you had to list the number of nefarious things that are happening at said motel, I would think liquid heroin is probably down near the bottom.
At any given time, is someone having sex in one of those hotels?
Yes.
Constantly?
Yes. My guess is in probably
constantly.
Probably other things too.
Around the clock.
Probably against their wishes.
In some cases, possibly. Yeah. Probably.
Nothing good. There is nothing good that's happening at one of those places.
That's all we have time for in the news, February 9th, 2024. Let's get to the Hot 5 at 5. Some shocking college football news today. Phoenix Open round 2. Got the MVP in the NFL. We got the Hall of Fame class. We got all kinds of things next on The Fan.
Hello, I'm Greg Figueroa.
And I'm David Figueroa. Over 30 years ago, my brother Greg and I set out on a mission to offer
Big Soup's right over there.
Yeah, right here.
Dude.
We've learned a lot today.
We have. It's been a busy week.
Including about liquid heroin. I didn't know.
Joey Harrington will join us here in about 25 minutes. We'll talk to him about, the Super Bowl.
We'll learn something else.
And possibly Chip Kelly and that big news today. Robbing the Bank is next, our final one of the season.
Let's see if any of us can actually win some money.
And then tonight in the club, we will have it will be a Super Bowl centric Club 1080.
A little potpourri, if you will.
I do have the definitive story of how the Taylor Swift PSYOP story began.
I can't believe that's a real thing.
Oh, it's a real thing.
The most watched cable news network in America is running segments on this.
Oh, yeah. It is the old, let's throw all the crap against the wall and see what sticks. This is the highest rated crap out there.
What world are we living in right now?
What was the movie called? We're living in...
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. That's what world we're living in.
Yes. Yes, we are.
That's what world we're living in.
Are you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Also...
Got a hernia over there?
I have the theme... So they're saying there is a theme to the Super Bowl ads of 2024.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what that theme may be? Do you have any guesses on that?
Well, are we talking like 1 year it was like crypto, or are we just saying just an overall? Remember, like crypto was a big deal.
Yeah,
one
yeah.
year?
That was the Rams Bengals one. Like there were it seemed every break there was one crypto commercial.
Think about what all the advertisers want to accomplish, or maybe don't want to accomplish with their ads in this year's Super Bowl.
I would think maybe like a virtual reality sort of thing. Something like that.
Maybe. I'll reveal it.
Okay.
Tonight in the club.
By the way, the whole Apple Vision goggle thing, that is that really gonna happen? Like
I think it is.
That's
it's already happening.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like you saw the idiot like courtside at the Celtics game wearing that thing. Am I now just gonna like in 5 years? Am I just gonna be walking down the street and 1,000 dumbasses are gonna be wearing that? And
probably.
If so,
First was the iPod earbuds.
Am I allowed to just start shoving people down at that point?
Are you? What happens in those?
I don't know. That's my thing. Like, so when that guy's sitting courtside, that guy paid seemingly thousands of dollars, or his dad paid, whatever. Someone paid a bunch of money for that idiot to sit courtside at a Celtics game. And if you haven't seen the clip, he's wearing the Apple Vision goggles, and he's standing up during the game, and he's like, it looks like he's shooting, like he's pretending to dribble a ball. So can he see? This is what I don't know. Can he see? Like if I'm standing in front of him, can he see me too?
I believe that what this is like an augmented reality thing. Yeah. So you can see what's really out in front of you, but it will also project digital images up like a hoop in front of you that's fake, or a defender in front of you for you to dodge around, but you're still seeing like the real life background.
So he will see it when I come up and kick him in the nuts?
Correct. Yeah, he's not walking blind. It's not virtual reality, it's augmented reality.
I bet he'll feel it too.
Yes, he will.
I am going to be that old. Like I try not to be old curmudgeon-y guy, but this may be the thing that finally pushes me too far.
Wait till that guy like bumps into you and makes you spill your lunch or something.
Yeah,
I'm with you on this one, because life has a lot to offer the world. Just look through your eyeballs.
Yes.
Why are you? It's like there's a lot of cool
already at concerts.
You don't need goggles.
It already bothers me at concerts when everyone has their phones up. And the worst one was a couple years ago, I was up fishing, and I kind of went hiking down this little stream kind of around the bend. I kind of wanted to get away from things. I've been going for maybe, 3/4 of a mile. It took me a while down there, and I come across this beautiful kind of bend in the river, and I'm looking out, and there's the mountain, and it's this gorgeous thing, and I was just like, oh, this is just wonderful. And I swear to God, right there on the bank, getting out to go into the water was like an influencer shoot, and I wanted to just drown them all. There was a gal, and by the way, she wasn't hot. I'll give her that. Yeah. But it was like two dudes, and they went out there, and they had that stupid ring, the light ring, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, look, it's just like, what? I wanted to take my fishing pole and just beat everyone with it. And I'm like, I don't want to be that old man, but
you are that old man.
I'm becoming that.
Lean into it.
Just, you said, nature's wonderful. Just look at
enjoy it.
Look at it. You're at the Celtics game. You're courtside. That's not enough for you anymore?
Yeah, but I could be courtside with widgets, bro.
I can't.
Well, the one with the one that went viral, I didn't see the guy at the Celtics game. There was one that went viral of the girl driving the self-driving Tesla.
Yeah.
And she had it on.
Yep.
So
because that seems safe.
Well,
I don't know. I'm not prepared for the future. I'm just not.
Well, you and
I'm not equipped for it.
We'll be long gone.
Yeah, exactly. Just bury me.
It's time now for the hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Round 2 of the Waste Management Phoenix Open in, Phoenix. Andrew Novak is your leader, tied with Nick Taylor. Those guys are at 12 under. They did get their second rounds in. Weather's been an issue and frost delay this morning, but Maverick McNeely, 10 under.
That's a great name.
Great name.
You have Doug Gim, 9 under. Scotty Scheffler among those 8 under, along with Cameron Young and Justin Thomas.
My buddy hopped on a plane to go down there and check out the weekend today.
We did that for my brother's bachelor party 4 or 5 years ago. It was really fun.
You're going to go down there. He's pretty fired up about it.
Is he going on to the 16th hole?
I don't know if he's going down to the 16th. I think that's kind of hard to...
You got to be there so early to make that happen.
Okay.
You know, he's no Dan Lanning.
Yeah, Lanning was there yesterday.
Lanning's got connections. I doubt Dan was there at 5.
You got to be there so early or have a lot of money.
There you go.
Lamar Jackson wins NFL MVP.
Number 2.
Other awards. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Christian McCaffrey. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, there were some people that I saw that were pretty butthurt about that. His numbers aren't as good as T.J. Watts or Micah Parsons. But Micah Parsons even came out and said, you stop paying attention to stats. That's Micah Parsons saying that Garrett was the best player this year. So
Garrett was a force.
Yes. He is.
But I could see the Watt thing.
Yeah,
Parsons.
Watt had phenomenal numbers this year.
Wasn't amazing, but yeah, Watt, I can see him being... pissed about that.
I understand. It wasn't him. It was just Steeler fan that was pissy.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud. Defensive Rookie of the Year, also a Texan, Will Anderson.
It turned out to be a pretty good draft for them.
Yeah. Kevin Stefanski of the Browns got Coach of the Year. That's a little surprising.
Yeah, he did. I mean, you look at everything they went through, though. And he did a phenomenal job.
And it was only barely. He beat out DeMeco Ryans by 1 first-place vote.
Yeah, you could have had
offensive
Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and first-year Coach of the Year, all with Houston.
And let's not forget Comeback Player of the Year, my man.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
That was actually a massive Vegas upset. Damar Hamlin was the favorite all year long, despite the fact that he hardly ever played because he died last year and came back.
I was going to say, I understand Flacco, it was a nice comeback, but...
Yeah, dude, the Damar Hamlin bettors are pissed.
He did die.
I know. And that's why everybody thought it was a lock.
But he was like a healthy scratch, like a bunch of games and stuff like that.
Again,
so, he died. I know.
Well, what did Joe Flacco come back from?
Sitting on his couch, man.
NFL Hall of Fame class 2024 will include Dwight Freeney. Or I said Pro Football Hall of Fame. Sorry.
The best college football player I ever saw.
Dwight
played
Freeney.
Against. Yes,
you played against him.
I did. He was.
Did you block him?
No. He was a.
Did you get a flag?
Well, he was a defensive end. I was a center, but he did run by me a couple times. He was so good.
Patrick Willis, Devin Hester, Julius Peppers, Andre Johnson. Also Bears defensive tackle Steve McMichael and Broncos linebacker Randy Gradisher.
And the only one that I had an issue with that I don't know how he wasn't a first-time walk-in was Antonio Gates. And he'll get in next year, but, dude, come on. Freaking Antonio Gates. How is that guy not a first-ballot walk-in?
Yeah, totally.
That's a little perplexing.
He is... So, I mean, all those guys are worthy, but that was the one guy that, I was like, really?
In other NFL news, the Seahawks have hired Aiden Dirty as defensive coordinator. Previously the defensive line coach in Dallas. He has worked under Dan Quinn for a while.
Yeah, makes sense.
The NFL has announced a game in Spain. They will play in Spain in 2025.
Boy, I went to type in Aiden Dirty just because I wanted to look at him.
Uh-oh.
Boy, something else popped up. You got to be...
Porn guy?
you got to be real careful. I was like, whoops.
Did we spell dirty the wrong way?
What's a dirty Aiden?
Yeah, it came across as Aiden Dirty, not dirty.
Yeah, it's spelled D-U-R-D-E.
It said, did you mean dirty? No, I didn't mean it, but thank you very much, Google search.
Also, Amazon Prime will exclusively stream one playoff game next season. Yeah. And this, of course, has pissed off everyone.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter because 35 million people will still...
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
But people will bitch.
Exactly, and then you'll find a way to watch it.
And then number one is college coordinator news. First bit of news is that Wink Martindale, formerly of the Ravens and Giants, he's the defensive coordinator. He is, due to his connection with John Harbaugh, he is now headed to Michigan. He will be their defensive coordinator. But even bigger is that Chip Kelly has left UCLA. He is headed to Ohio State to become their offensive coordinator after Bill O'Brien took the Boston College job.
Never seen anything like it. And when Gary Anderson walked away from Oregon State, I thought that was about as big of a gut punch as you could get to a university. I think what Chip did to UCLA is worse than that. You think about UCLA and what they've had over the last, let's say, 2 months. Your defensive coordinator, which was the best part of your staff, left to take the same job at your rival, USC. You just put together the, 89th best recruiting class in the country, dead last in the Big Ten. Your head coach interviewed literally for any job that he could find in the NFL.
Recruit.
He didn't recruit at all. He literally interviewed for 5 different coordinator positions in the NFL, didn't get any of those. And then when that happened, he quit, left $8.5 million on the table, and then took a job with now your Big Ten rival, not as its head coach, as its offensive coordinator. Took probably an 80% pay cut to go be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Find me a worse indictment on a program and what they have going on than what Chip Kelly just did to UCLA.
I can't.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
The Hot 5 at 5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. This weekend only, Victor Rico's is offering a party platter of nachos and fries for the big game. In-store or online at victorricos.com. Rob in the Bank, our picks on the Super Bowl, next on The Fan. Yo, bro. bringing up the rear. He is 51, 61, and 1, minus 46 units. I am 25 and 26, minus 27 units. Big Sook is 32 and 35, minus 3 units.
Got hurt last. I rebounded nicely, but the championship game wiped me out.
Schulte 6, 7, and 1, minus 10 units, and Ortner 2 and 4, minus 3 units. So not one person has won you money. No. But that's all about to change.
That's right.
Because we are going to allow any unit bet on the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, we've got an extra week of research, so we can't be wrong.
No.
That's right. And basically, we're the sharps.
Yeah.
So here you go.
We got this.
Well, I'll start. You guys, I mean, we've been talking about the Super Bowl, so you guys know how I am viewing this, and I am not going to overthink this. Okay. The Chiefs are the bet. And if I lose, I'm going to shrug and I say I went down with a good team and a good bet.
Yeah.
That's which team's playing better right now?
That would be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Which team has the better quarterback?
That would be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Which team has the better coach?
It's close, but the Kansas City Chiefs.
Which team has the better defense?
That would be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Which team has the better defensive coordinator?
That would be the Chiefs.
Which team has the better kicker?
That would be the Chiefs.
Which team has Taylor Swift on its side?
That would be the Chiefs.
Which team has been there and done that?
Again, I think we got a clean sweep here. Going Kansas City.
And who's been great as an underdog? Patrick Mahomes, 10-1-1 straight up as a dog. Who's great indoors? Patrick Mahomes, 13-1 with 33 tutties and 3 picks. I mean, dude, what the hell?
I got one more for you. Andy Reid with an extra week to prepare. 31-7 straight up.
God, man, I'm not going against that.
I mean, I wish I could disagree with you in any way, but
and by the way, the team I'm talking about is the underdog. They're +2. So come on, man. I'm going to go Kansas City +2, and here's what I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet 27 units. Yeah, so that way
you can say
if I win that, I will finish the season 26 and 26.
Let me just say
for 0 units.
I was going to say, because it's a very disingenuous bet because you're not going to bet 27 units in real life.
But I did bet it, and the bet, I bet it right after the AFC title game, and I really haven't thought twice about it. Look, anything can happen in a one-game scenario.
Yeah.
Niners are immensely talented, but the bet for me is Kansas City. I've got them Kansas City 24, San Francisco 19.
Yeah, like I said, I wish I could have some sort of compelling view the other way, and I can't. Like all those reasons are why I'm the same way. I'm thinking Kansas City. The only thing that's stopping me is, again, maybe I should have done this with Baltimore. When every bit of my being says, why is this line this? That's usually an indicator to go the other way. And San Francisco does have, like, if you just look at the rosters on paper and you look player to player, San Francisco probably has the better roster. But I can't go back to not only all those things you just said, but in 8 quarters so far in the playoffs, I think San Francisco's been outplayed. They just have. And they're finding ways to win games, but I don't see how in good faith I could say that I felt that there's a reason why San Francisco is going to win other than just a weird gut feeling that maybe they're due for one. And
everybody's on the Chiefs.
And everyone's on the Chiefs. And normally, that would lead me to go the other way, but I'm with you. So I'm going to go 5 units.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do a big, because I won't bet this big.
+2?
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs +2.
If you win, you will be positive units.
Yes,
+2 units for the season.
Yeah.
So I'm also with you guys on the Chiefs, but I'm going to do something a little different.
Damn it!
The winner of the Super Bowl has not won by 1 or 2 points since 1990. So if the Chiefs win this thing, it's going to be by 3 or more. If you take Chiefs on an alternate line -3, you can get an extra 50 cents on the dollar. So I'm going 5 units on the Chiefs -3 plus 150.
Okay. Plus what? Wait, what? Yeah.
Chiefs -3
okay.
plus 150.
I got you down here. Yeah, all right.
Let's see where you're going.
How many unis?
5 units.
Hell yeah. Anybody have any hot props? I don't ever even look at. I get overwhelmed by props, and I don't.
Do you?
Yeah, I just don't even want to look at them.
I've got a couple of stats behind them.
Okay.
So one here is Christian McCaffrey first carry over 3.5 yards. Let me tell you why. In the 15 games he has played behind Trent Williams, that has happened 11 of 15 times. It's just a really high percentage win. They're scripting those plays early. They're going to find the matchup they like. He's going to get that McCaffrey over 3.5 yards on the first carry.
Okay.
The one I really like is I will go 3 units on this because these are, I am playing a couple props. I'm not going to go.
Let's hear 'em.
I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm going to go 3 units on Pacheco carries and total. So he will get more than 13.5 carries. He'll get 14 carries, and he's going to get more than 67.5 yards. So I'll go 3 units on both of those.
I like that.
I think they are going to Kansas City does not load up. Like they're not just going to sit there and sling the ball. They're going to run the ball. And Kansas City, San Francisco has been run on. Detroit ran on him, and Green Bay ran on him, especially at the edges. So I think Pacheco is going to have a big game. I think he's going to carry it 18 to 20 times, and I think he's going to get 80, 90 yards. So I really like both of those.
What's the yardage?
67.5.
Okay.
On Pacheco. I'll go with those two. And then on McCaffrey, I'm going to take his over total on rushing attempts as well, which is at 16.5. So both teams are going to run the ball. I don't love his rush total as much. His is at 89.5. So I'm going to go 3 units just on his carries, and I'm not going to do the total because that's a lot. But they will run both of these teams are going to run the ball 20 plus times. This is not going to be a Ravens thing, and it's not going to be turn it around and sling it.
What's the Travis Kelce over under yard total?
71.5, I think.
70, yeah, it's something like that.
And the thing is, he's gone over that in like 12 straight playoff games.
I'm going to take the under on that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it for 5 unis, and I'm going to do it because everybody's taking the over.
Yep.
It's the only reason.
Yeah, I'm looking here and see where he's at for receptions total. McCaffrey, Edwards-Helaire, Debo. You would think he'd be near the top. Why is he?
Sometimes they do it alphabetical.
70.5.
Okay, 5 unit play for me.
Yeah,
let's go.
7.5 on that.
What else we got, Buck?
Couple quarterback rushing props here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
a couple of those.
I'm gonna zig where everyone zags. Everyone loved what Brock Purdy did with his legs last week. This Chiefs team can contain running quarterbacks. They contained Lamar. They contained Josh Allen, and the Niners have had design runs with Purdy this season, a grand total of twice. I think he will not be running again this game. I think he's going to be contained to the pocket. I'm going under his rushing total because everyone with recency bias thinks he's going over that 12.5 yards. I will go under.
Wait, his rushing total is 12.5?
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Which is basically double what it had been any other game this season.
For how many units?
5 units.
Ooh, nice. I like that.
And then I also have rushing on Mahomes. He has played in 3 Super Bowls. In each of those Super Bowls, he has gone over 4.5 carries and over 26.5 yards. That's what his numbers are in this one. I will take the over on both of those, 5 units each.
Solid. All right, there you go. That's the last drop in the bank.
That's it. Until we get to the UFL.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the Birmingham Stallions.
We could do a March Madness drop in the bank.
There you go.
Ooh, I like it.
Let's do that.
As I blindly throw things out there.
Yeah, like you shouldn't listen to us.
No, we can do it.
Well, I mean, you should listen to us, but not bet what we bet. We're probably easy to fade. I mean, if you faded us over the years, you'd be up money.
Text line says we should do the UFL or the USFL or whatever that league is.
That's what Soup just said.
United Football League,
Let's go. Give me the red.
Birmingham Stallions?
I want the Red Dragons.
I don't think there is a Red Dragons.
Well,
is there a Sea Dragons? There was a Sea Dragon.
Seattle had a dragon something or other. Mike Riley was affiliated with that. They were the Dragons of some sort.
All right, coming up next, Joey Harrington gives his thoughts on the Super Bowl and how he views Brock Purdy as a quarterback. That's next. Here's Buck.
This is a Super Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
Brought to you by George McCoy at Warren Allen, Attorneys at Law.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by LaRogue Brothers Jewelers. Guys, score big with extra savings before the big game at LaRogue's this Sunday from 11 to 3. Visit them at larogue.com. First on the Fan, the Super Bowl coming your way this Sunday between the 49ers and the Chiefs from Las Vegas. 49ers remain a 2-point favorite at the sportsbooks. Kickoff is at 3:30. Both teams expected to be healthy with the exception of Chiefs guard Joe Thuney. Head coach Andy Reid says his chances of playing are slim. In Seattle, the Seahawks have a new defensive coordinator, hiring Cowboys defensive line coach Aiden Dirty. The 44-year-old London, England native spent the last 3 years in Dallas under Dan Quinn. In college football, Bill O'Brien will leave his new job as Ohio State's offensive coordinator to take the head coaching position at Boston College, and it doesn't take Ohio State long to backfill that spot. Chip Kelly going to leave his post as the head coach of UCLA and take the offensive coordinator job on Ryan Day's staff. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro football playoff action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
If you can't find the humor in today's NBA, you're doing it wrong. Heat Check with Trista Crick on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. It's time for Who's Leading the Charge? A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done. Brought to you by Battery Exchange.
My teammates, man, I can't even put into words how much I love you guys. This has been the most fun I've ever had playing football. I'm not up here without you. Football is the greatest game on the planet. It's the biggest team sport in the world, and we're so lucky to get to enjoy it. And the fact that I get to go to battle with you guys every week is one of my greatest honors because of the way you guys play football and inspire me every single day. I'm not up here without you. I love you guys. We got one more. Let's go finish it the right way. Appreciate it, guys.
It's Christian McCaffrey.
Easy guy to root for, by the way.
Biggest team sport in the world, it is not.
No, that'd be soccer.
Correct.
You know.
But I get his passion.
In his little world.
Yeah. That was him winning Offensive Player of the Year.
It's a bold move when they went and got him in Carolina.
Yeah.
You know, he was just an injury, riddled mess. And
great move.
He's been phenomenal.
System checks at 14 area locations. Battery Exchange. hear you. And I feel you. There's nothing more random and fresh-facey, though, than Brock Purdy.
That is true.
I mean, this is Mr. Irrelevant. What do you see when you watch Brock Purdy? How good is he, and can you compare him to someone that, I don't know, that just a name that we would know?
You know what and it's not quite a fair comparison because Brady did not have the weapons that Purdy has around. I mean, he didn't have a Christian McCaffrey.
No.
Right? But he's had some pretty good players, right? And people forget, like, those first couple years of Brady's Super Bowl runs were not the 2008 version of the Patriots. You know, it was Brady throwing for, 240. Mm-hmm. Giving the ball to for crying out loud, why am I drawing blank on the tailback's name?
Well, they had
Washington.
They had a couple different ones, but Corey Dillon was
Corey
a big
Dillon.
guy there.
Yep. Corey Dillon, giving the ball to Corey Dillon. Deion Branch got a few looks. There is I don't know. It's a really interesting conversation around Brock Purdy because it is so. It's either one thing or the other. He's either an MVP candidate or he sucks and shouldn't even be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like, there literally is no in between. Like, one week people are talking about how this guy's so overrated and, oh, my God, I can't believe it. And literally 3 weeks later, he and Dak Prescott are the leading candidates for the MVP. And so I think for me, I'm waiting for not necessarily a maturation, but I think through experience and through maturity will come that consistency that I think people are looking for. Right? Christian McCaffrey isn't going to be there forever. The life of the running back is just not, and at a certain point it became, whereas Tom was leaning on Corey Dillon and he's getting the ball to Deion Branch, then all of a sudden, like, that cast of characters started to disappear, and it became Brady's team through the experience that he had, and the offense ran through him. I'm curious to see if this iteration of the 49ers takes on that personality, but it's still the 49ers to me, and I cannot even though it's Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and Eric Armstead, we're rooting for Ducks, and Lenore, like, there's all sorts of Ducks in this game. Mm-hmm. I still can't shake John Taylor and Joe Montana and Brent Jones and Tom Rathman and Steve Young and Deion Sanders and Merton. I can't get rid of that from my mind. It's still the 49ers, and so it's not fresh for me.
The weird thing about Brock Purdy to me is normally we love underdogs. Like, the Rudy story, and I find it almost nauseating that we try to elevate the underdog to the superstar role. But Purdy, we do the exact opposite. For whatever reason, people don't want to get behind him. We drag him. He's the anti-Rocky, which is not something that we normally do, especially when you're facing, the true nature of Goliath in Kansas City and Pat Mahomes. But it's interesting that you brought up Brady, because I think you can make a strong – I like the Brady. I also love the Ben Roethlisberger, and I love the Russell Wilson comps, because when you look at all three of those guys, when they won their first Super Bowl, and I guess Russ only won the one, they weren't the driving force behind that. You're right, in that they were cogs. I hear all that was it. Cam Newton's like, oh, he's the 10th best player on the team. You could have said that about Roethlisberger. You could have said it about Russell Wilson. You could have said it about Tom Brady, that they weren't the dominant factor. But like you said, as they grew, you can get better. But I think if you look at Brock Purdy's numbers, they're better numbers than any one of those three quarterbacks when they won their first Super Bowl. But we don't give Brock that credit, and we don't give him, like you said, we don't give him the ability to get better. We said, well, this is just what he is. But Tom didn't do that. Ben didn't do that. Russ didn't do that, especially Tom and Ben, because by the time they got to that second Super Bowl, they were the reason why they were winning Super Bowls. And Russ, never got back.
Yeah. I think the reason that we, as a collective, go in the other direction with Brock Purdy, right? Like you said, instead of elevating, try to bring him down, is that he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald.
That is hard.
We can't get over it.
Right.
And there is this, right. And so much like Lee Harvey Oswald, we think that he could not do this alone, right? So like there's this collective, like he can't be doing this on his own, right? And so he can't be that good. And so we're going to bring him down to that level. I think that's probably where it intrinsically comes from.
That is next level commentary.
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed that right there.
God.
Joe Montana's on the grassy knoll. Purdy can't make that throw by himself.
You think Purdy's doing that by himself? Nope. Christian McCaffrey and Debo. There. Yep. We got one in the warehouse. We got one on the grassy knoll. We got a bullet or a football that takes a left-hand turn in midair. I don't know.
I don't quite remember, but maybe this is what you were saying. I do feel like we doubted Brady at first, didn't we? Because when he came in, it was controversial.
We doubted. I thought you said knighted Brady.
No,
we
doubted
absolutely doubted him.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was the same.
I think he only threw for 180 something yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it wasn't a bunch.
Yeah.
No, it was not a Brady-led team, and it really wasn't until that third Super Bowl run that he started throwing for, 300 yards. It became that's when you started to work. He started taking over the offense, and that's when you brought in guys like Wes Welker, right? Wes Welker came in I was with him in 06. He came in 07, right? So Brady's first Super Bowl was 02. And then he had a couple years of, kind of trying to figure it out. And they realized that this is going to be Tom's team. And that's when they started bringing the Wes Welkers, the Randy Mosses, right? And then all of a sudden the narrative became, well, it doesn't matter who you have. Tom's going to take us anyway. Like those first couple years were dominated by Teddy Bruschi and that defense. Yeah. I mean, those defenses were the ones that carried the Patriots. I mean, that the tuck rule, I guess it was in the snow, wasn't exactly an offensive explosion, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, I looked up because I love the Ben Roethlisberger one. Do you know what? So they won that Super Bowl against Seattle 21-10. You want to care to guess what old Ben Roethlisberger's quarterback rating was in that game?
Wait a minute. Ben Roethlisberger's first Super Bowl was against Seattle?
Yeah, they won 21-10.
Yeah. The Jerome Bettis Super Bowl.
That was, yeah,
remember Jerome Bettis was from Detroit.
From Detroit. They wouldn't shut up about it.
That's right. Yeah. Because I was in Detroit. That's right. That was the game that we wanted. We wanted to be the first team to play at home, but we sucked, so it didn't work. His passing 60. Rating was 83. 50?
22.
Whoa. Yeah, that was a terrible game.
Ben Roethlisberger went, and this I say, why can't he get better? And we didn't say this about Ben at the time, like we do with Brock Purdy. Ben went 9 of 21 for 123 yards, no touchdowns, not one, but 2 picks, and had a quarterback rating of 22.6. And he went on to be, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then that next Super Bowl, obviously the James Harrison one, but Ben wins the game with the great pass at the end. And that was largely, a Ben Roethlisberger led team. But I mean, yeah, he's a Super Bowl quarterback, with a 22.6 rating. Like this does happen with some young quarterbacks that you do get better after. Like this is Brock's first year of starting. Last year he started what 7 games, then he got hurt.
Yeah, and he has not lost a playoff game in which he's finished.
No.
I mean, that says something. The only playoff game that Brock Purdy has technically lost as the starting quarterback was the NFC Championship game where he got hurt in the first quarter.
Well, that's true. And not only that, but, to deviate from the comparisons of the Roethlisberger and Brady early in their career, Brock Purdy was sensational on the final drive against Green Bay, and he was sensational in the second half against Detroit.
Yep.
Unlike those other quarterbacks, which they weren't.
They didn't have that signature kind of comeback moment where Brock did.
Well,
Brock
the other quarterbacks were probably out there partying during the Super Bowl week. That's probably what it was.
Brock Purdy,
straight parties.
He's greater than Tom Brady. I think that's what we've figured out.
Mark it, dude.
Crown his ass.
7 Super Bowls. Here we come.
So what was
I thought Patrick Mahomes was already better than Tom Brady.
Well, he is.
But now it's Purdy.
Yeah, Brock's better than Mahomes.
Yeah, that was last week.
Come on, get with it.
That was last week. Got it. Okay, good. You were saying something.
Yeah, what was the biggest game you ever played in? And what would be your advice to anyone in the biggest sports moment of their life?
Well, I mean, I never played any games of significance in the NFL. I never made it to the playoffs. The Thanksgiving Day games, there were more people watching, but it didn't have anything else riding on it. So I'd have to say it was probably the Fiesta Bowl. And what would be my advice? Don't screw up.
That's it?
Yep. This is your moment. Don't screw it up, kid.
All right.
It's
inspiring.
It is a great piece of advice.
That's what my first boss told me.
Yeah, this ain't gonna come around again. So you know what? You get one shot, and you're either gonna be a hero or a goat, and it's gonna live with you for the rest of your life.
No pressure.
It is funny. I like it. My first game that I ever played in was at the University of Alabama, and I was a freshman. And the center got hurt, and they went to put me in, and we had an All-American left tackle. Ended up being like a top 20 pick. And I'm standing in the huddle, nervous, waiting for them to cart the center off the field, and he just turns at me, and he just says, "Don't F it up." And I was like, "Great, thanks for I'm already peeing my pants." And like I was like waiting for like some inspirational sort of, like uplifting thing, and that's what I got is "Don't F this up for us."
See this isn't sweat. This is urine. All right, this is not sweat.
Yeah. I was like, "Thanks, John. Appreciate the pep talk." Oh, and then by the way, I snapped the ball over the quarterback's head and got a holding penalty. So yeah, it was
blame him.
Yeah, his fault, not mine.
So wait, for the Fiesta Bowl though, did you feel all that? Like, everything you just said, did you feel that before the game? Like, man, this is the moment, and I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life, and I got to play well? Or were you in a different headspace?
I was in a different headspace. I mean, I'm sure I felt it, but honestly, like that year had been, when you start the year on the side of a 10-story building in across from Madison Square Garden, it's like, if you can get through that, like it's just another football game. Like that entire year was just this don't screw it up 6-month moment. Right, that never ended. So by the time we got to the game in January, it was like, this is fun. Like let's go cap this baby off. Yeah, that's another story though.
We gotta take a break. Sorry, Suk. We'll get to his question when we get back, and I also want to ask you about Chip Kelly. That's a career arc we didn't see coming.
Nope.
He's headed to Ohio State to be offensive coordinator. More with Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX. Next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Jaden Tracy's been outstanding off the bench. Cosnard from deep, from in tight.
Ducks beat the Huskies last night here on The Fan, avenging the football losses.
I'm sure the football team loved that.
Yeah. I had a thought. Do you think it's time to change the court at Mac Court?
Boy, my wife thinks so. She can't stand looking at that thing.
I don't like it either.
I liked the idea. I wasn't crazy about the execution.
I think we get a new one.
Maybe so.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and
I figured you'd come at me with Super Bowl stories, and I was like, God, I'm pretty sure there's one that I haven't told yet, but we haven't really taken that arc. So if you want to wait until next week, it's fine. But
you never played in a Super Bowl, man. How am I supposed to ask you about the Super Bowl?
Doesn't mean he hosted.
It doesn't mean that everybody goes to the Super Bowl. I mean, half the league is over there either pissing away their money in Vegas or doing appearances. Guys, God, Pepsi's paying guys $10,000 to show up for 10 minutes at a executive function. I mean, the whole league is out there.
There's a couple guys that will be, I think it's Brandon Cooks and one of the other Cowboys that will be there courtesy of Jesus.
Really?
Did you read that?
No.
You know the Jesus, he saves us.
Oh yeah, that campaign. He knows us or something. Yeah, they've done. They've done that for the last couple of years.
Yeah, Jesus is paying a couple bros to be out there.
Jesus pays, huh?
Yeah,
really
interesting.
Yeah.
Is he paying in water or is he paying in wine?
No, that's a good question. Hopefully wine.
Maybe he's paying in water that became wine.
Yeah.
I was on the wrong end of that. I always had to pay Jesus. He never paid me. It's disappointing.
Yeah, ripped off.
I know.
He could be paying an eternal salvation.
I think I botched that years ago, Joey. I know where I'm going.
It's kind of like money. It's as good as you might want to hang on to this one.
It's an IOU.
It's an IOU. It's eternal salvation.
So, how many Super Bowls did you go to?
I'd say maybe 4. Yeah. Probably not the game, but I think I only went to one game. But you go to the week leading up to it, and you do appearances, and then you hop on and you sell your tickets, and you hop. I mean, the whole Super Bowl ticket thing is just an absolute fiasco, and it's the biggest out in the air secret about why the tickets cost so dang much.
So, did you do Radio Row, like the media car wash thing?
No, not for the Super Bowl because I wasn't playing. I know, but literally there are parties all week, starting on Thursday. Like EA Sports will have a party, and then Nike has a party, and then this agency will have a party, and then Pepsi has a party, and then Coors Light has a party, and you're just paid to show up at these places to, come on stage for 5 minutes and shake hands and work the room, and they hand you a check and you head to the next one. I mean, it's literally just these businesses just paying the NFL guys to come out and hang out in their in their party rooms.
It's a good gig.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah.
Who'd you party with?
Me? Oh God. You know what? It was one of the most fun ones. Was I got to host a concert with. Hold on. Holly Robinson. Oh. Holly Robinson Pete. Mm. Yep. Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Rodney Pete's wife, and it was my last year in Detroit, and it was the first time we had met, and just how are you? Hey, Joey, good to meet you. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I was like, for what? She said, and I didn't draw the connection. She's like, Rodney was my husband. I know what you've been going through. It's like, oh my God, somebody who gets it. Because Rodney was in Detroit for a few years, and yeah. But that was actually kind of a fun one. My rookie year was it was the weirdest. You talk about getting plucked up and dropped into so the Fiesta Bowl ends, right? You go through the training stuff, and then all of a sudden they just ship you off to the Super Bowl. And I showed up at this party, and your agent tells you, hey, here's where we're going to go. And I had made a connection with, for crying out loud.
Boy George.
Nope, not Boy George. It was Miss America. Katie Herman. She was from
Oregon, right?
Centennial High School. Yes, that was the year that she was, and the nicest woman. I mean, just a class act, just a wonderful person. But so I was gonna, say hello and make the Oregon connection at this party. And so I get pulled into this party, and then all of a sudden, since I'm going to be a draft, one of the top 5 picks, they grab me and they're like, hey, you're going to be a judge at this Hawaiian Tropics bikini contest. I was like, what? And so they grabbed me and they put me into the seat. I was like, I I don't know what the hell is going on here. And I was like, what am I doing? They said, just judge on overall beauty. I was like, that is the dumbest thing that is going. Like, so I'm a judge at the Hawaiian Tropic contest. Sure enough, Katie comes walking in, and I'm supposed to meet her, and her handler, like the person who is like making sure that, you know, she gets to all her appearances on time, absolutely loses his mind. Like, you invite Katie to come at this, and she represents the crown. I was like, dude, it's not my, like, I'm sorry. Like, I just got put into, and you bring us to this filth. I was like, this isn't my choice. Like, I am so sorry. And so, you know, Katie is the nicest person in the world, but this guy, I was literally getting read the riot act by this guy, and I'm trying to get, like, oh, hold on, let me get out. And he whisks her out of the room, like, we are done. And I was like, I ended up connecting with her later, and like, I am so sorry. Like, I have no control. I had no idea what the hell was happening. And she was like, don't even stress. It's not a big deal. But I was like, yeah, that was my welcome to the Super Bowl party week kind of moment. I was like, okay, good. This is what it's all about.
That guy needs to lighten up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's talk more about the Hawaiian tropics.
Yeah. Who won? No. Just kidding.
Who won? This Hawaii.
You see, like, how many guys kind of wash out of the NFL, and like, just like hearing the stories about being thrown into that you've told over the years. I don't think people appreciate how difficult navigating those waters are. At 20 years old, to be thrown into that ocean with all the sharks and distraction that's going on. And I'm not saying it's an excuse for anyone, but it's real easy to see how people lose focus, and then, you know, a year or two later, you're done. They've moved on past it.
It's a double-edged sword, because you can't say no, right? Because these are the people that are opening the doors for you, right? These are the people that are creating the opportunities. And you don't know them from Adam, right? It's literally just this person that, you know, absolutely wants something from you, that has some, you know, ulterior motive, you know, but holds the keys to something, whether it's a check, whether it's another endorsement opportunity, whatever it is. So you can't just walk in and say, dude, you're a creep, screw off. Like, but at the same time, you can't fully, like, you don't want to fully embrace this. It's like, like we've talked about, this is a world I don't like. Like, I don't enjoy. Like, this ain't real life. Like, this isn't, and the guys that do embrace it, and the guys that do live the life, there are, you know, you hear this, you know, the occasional story of, you know, whoever it was that was, you know, Lawrence Taylor is, you know, he's on coke while he's playing, and he's partying all night, and, you know, and he's the one who makes it. But you don't hear the story of the 99 other guys that got caught up in it and washed out and are literally broke and destitute because of it. Like, it's this really odd walking from college, and like you said, you are the most confident, like, on cloud nine, and all of a sudden it's like, here you go, you're thrown to the sharks, and it's like, determine which of these people are actually here to help you, and which of these people just want something from you and are going to leave you on the side of the road.
And it's dangerous because, like you said, with some of those guys, they can handle it. Like, they can go hard. They, you know, that's the whole Jordan thing. Like, he can drink and party all night and show up and drop 45, but it's troublesome when the young guys, especially at a place like the Super Bowl and playoffs, and they try to do the things that those unique individuals do. And not everyone can be Lawrence Taylor. Not everyone can be Michael Jordan. And so it's like that keeping up with the Joneses, that derails a lot of people too, because they think, well, if this is the way he does it, so why don't I do it that way?
It's Allen Iverson. It's when I was in Detroit, Larry Brown was the coach of the Pistons, and we were having dinner one time, and, you know, just, I don't know how it came up in conversation, but he says, yeah, so I was going out for my morning run, and Allen Iverson would get the schedule for the year and would plan a party, like at some club or at some, you know, and it'd be an appearance, right? You know, so I'm sure he gets paid to promote this through, you know, X Club through in every city. And at literally every city they would go on the road, he would have some sort of party planned. And Larry Brown's going out for his morning run at 6 a.m, and Allen is coming back in. And he said it, like, it was that moment, like, come on, like, what are you doing? Like, you've got guys who are watching, like, what, like, how can you, are you trying to sabotage us? Like, what are you trying to do? And Alan says, Larry, what do you, like, leave me alone. Like, this is how I do it. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to score 50 tonight? And Larry's like, no, I just want you to be a better example. I want you to take care of yourself. He's like, I got it. Don't worry about me. I'm going to go score 50. And sure enough, that night he went out and dropped 58, and they won. And he looked at Larry after the game. He was like, you see? Don't worry about me. Like, but he's the exception, right? And like you said, there's 12 other guys on that team that see Allen Iverson out every single night before the games on the road and think, oh, I can do that too. You know, they're the guys that get, you know, that show up after college and get grabbed by the back of the shirt and said, you're judging a Hawaiian Tropic contest. And it's like, oh, I guess this is what happens everywhere. and all of a sudden they're out of the league. Like, it's a really odd world that some people can handle it and some people can't.
Well, that explains the practice rant.
Yeah.
You know, that helps explain that. All right. Well, we'll ask you about Chip Kelly next week. Maybe we'll get into Chip Kelly story time.
Yeah, he'll still be offensive coordinator at Ohio State next week.
Well,
I hope.
Yeah, he may not be.
No, knowing him.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to chew on there, so we'll kick it off there next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Are you having a party? Are you serving wings? What are you doing?
I don't know. What day is it's Sunday, right? Today's Friday?
It should be a Saturday, but it's on Sunday.
It should be a Saturday. Yeah, I think Emily has a tennis match, and I will be driving back from a soccer game. Probably. What time does it start? Like 2:30ish?
3:30.
3:30. I'll be back in time. So no, I'm probably not having a party. I'm probably just going to be just chilling.
That makes three of us.
Put my feet up, you know. Maybe having a bourbon.
Yep. That's what us old guys do.
It's a good way to do it.
It
to
is.
Be honest with you.
I'm going to be solo. I mean, my wife will be there, but she doesn't care. So she'll be reading a book or something.
I'm solo.
Yes, great.
I got nothing.
All right, sir.
Best seat in the house.
That's right. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you next week to kick off story time.
Adios, guys.
All right, he is brought to you by Joey Harrington each week, by Mods PDX. The future of building is here. All right, to kick off the club, Taylor Swift is a psyop. Next on The Fan.
Commercial Industrial Auctioneers is holding their car, truck, and heavy equipment public auction this Saturday online. For information, go to commercialindustrialauctions.com. Oregon's leading heavy equipment, industrial, and liquidation auctioneers. Commercialindustrialauctions.com.
Love is in the air. What? Valentine's Day. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, but how do I say it without saying it? Oh, yeah, Fred Meyer Jewelers. Look, it's all here on their website. Diamond earrings, heart-shaped pendants, anniversary bands, and I know they have beautiful gold and silver chains, stackable rings, and have you seen their engagement rings? Engagement rings? Well, love is in the air, right?
Fred Meyer Jewelers, because the right gift means everything.
Save thousands. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to save thousands on a hot tub and swim spa today through Sunday. Clark County Event Center at the fairgrounds. Save thousands. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to save thousands on a hot tub and swim spa today through Sunday. Clark County Event Center at the fairgrounds. 18-month interest-free financing. Brand new 2024 inventory ready for immediate delivery. Clark County Event Center at the fairgrounds. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Clark County Event Center at the fairgrounds. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Come see the revolutionary new swim spa in action at exceptional prices. Clark County Event Center at the fairgrounds. Free delivery
get Joe Biden reelected.
So this says, this theory got its first burst of mainstream attention last month when Fox's Jesse Waters?
I think it's Waters.
I believe it's Waters.
Aired a video that he claimed shows that the Pentagon Psychological Operations Unit floated, turning Taylor Swift into an asset.
And that was like 4 years ago at a NATO convention or presentation or something.
You know what's crazy, though, is that this, of all the plots that they do espouse over there, this one is actually not as... This is like the least crazy one that they've come up with.
The person speaking in the video was not, in fact, from the Pentagon. She was citing Swift as a generic example of celebrity influence. And this all happened years after Swift became super popular anyway, but Waters still seemed to think it might explain why or how she blew up like this. He then interviews a former FBI agent who said that Joe Biden's presidential campaign would like Swift's support, which is true, and that she could move substantial numbers of votes into Biden's column.
Makes sense.
Which is not the track record that pop music endorsements have historically had in American politics. The PSYOP rumor mutated into its most infamous form a few weeks later when, what was that guy's name that dropped out of the presidential race? Vivek Ramaswamy however you pronounce his name.
Ramaswamy, I believe it is.
Ramaswamy.
That guy.
He was a presidential candidate until recently. He posts on X, he says, I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple this fall. Just some wild speculation over here. Let's see how it ages over the next 8 months.
Jeez Louise.
Yes, that was a reference to Swift and her boyfriend Travis Kelce of the Chiefs. Many ruminations over the years about both rigged elections and rigged Super Bowls. But this might be the first time someone implied that plotters might rig an election by rigging the Super Bowl. So that's how we got to Taylor Swift as a PSYOP.
So the San Francisco 49ers are in on it. Because they'd have to be.
They just have to kowtow to the league here, and the league has agreed for political reasons to just go ahead and go through with this.
So, well, that makes total sense.
We're all in on it, Sue, except for you, apparently.
I guess. Why am I always the last one? I want to be in on things.
I like the opinion. Someone said, I like that if we could use Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce this way, that the best thing we could think to come up with is just get Joe Biden reelected. Like, we couldn't use them for something far greater than that.
That is a bit disappointing, right?
I mean, I know that's a big deal and everything, but you could do a little better.
Yeah, I was hoping for something better than that. Like, if I'm Taylor Swift, I would want to be part of a different PSYOP. Although, if the government comes and is like, hey, we're going to use you, I don't know if you get to, like, politely pass. It's like, all right, I'll do this.
So there was a Newsweek survey recently. One sec.
Bless you.
Oh, dear.
You all right over there?
Oh, I'm hurt.
You got a Mike Leach thing going on today.
Well, my.
Me.
Live, damn it, live.
I had one of those Roca candies.
It's dangerous.
And they've got little nuts in them.
Oh, yeah.
And I love little nuts.
I know that you do. Except now they're those nuts are in your throat, and it's not...
Wow.
You know, it's causing some problems, is it not?
I've never seen so much dong in my life.
You're choking on
I teed you up for that.
You did. You're choking on them.
A Newsweek survey found that, well, I'll ask you, what percentage of voters say that they are more likely to vote for a candidate endorsed by Tay-Tay? According to Newsweek. What do you think? They did a survey on this.
15%.
18%.
18%. All right, that sounds about right. I mean, she does.
But 17% are less likely to vote for someone she endorses. Therefore,
I think the idea is that Taylor Swift might be able to drive the youth.
It's a wash.
Out to vote. And that with the whole Israeli thing going on, that maybe that's an area that the POTUS is struggling with because they all hate Israel now.
Look, she's a PSYOP, and you need to jump aboard.
Yeah, I heard Joe Rogan talking about it, so clearly that means that it's true.
You need to jump aboard.
So if Jesse Waters or Joe Rogan says something, take that as gospel truth. Where's Alex Jones when I need him?
Getting his ass sued.
Yeah, he's doing fine. That dude lost like $800 million, and yet he's still flying around on private planes.
When you can start wars with information.
Do people just get tired of being like, I'm fat? Like the person that's all about conspiracy theories, don't you just get tired?
No, that's what makes them feel alive.
That's what fuels them.
Yes.
Can you imagine going through your life, and even if they were all true, how exhausting it would be to truly believe that every part of your life, from the president to your job to what you buy to what you drive, everything is just being manipulated. Like you're just in one big matrix. Like you're just living in virtual reality. How truly exhausting that must be.
So next, I will tell you. I'm going to make you guess first, and then I'll tell you. Okay?
Yeah.
But what is the theme of this year's Super Bowl ads?
All
there
right.
is an overarching theme.
I got like 2 guesses. So
that'll be next. It is 6:20 on the Fan.
The home
You all right over there? Clear up the baby nuts thing?
Yeah, this segment's all you. I'm just texting, buddy. Oh, I'm hurt. No, I've got to... Okay, so what are your guesses? So there's a theme this year amongst all the advertisers for the Super Bowl ads.
Well, I went with two. My first one was... And one is fairly generic, and I don't even know if it's a theme. Well, the first one I thought was maybe doing all the virtual reality stuff. Is there some sort of VR thing?
Wrong.
And then the other one is, I don't know if this is a theme, but I've seen some of the ads that have been released already, and they all have a celebrity in them. Is that a theme?
No. Wrong.
Because, like, Schwarzenegger's in one, Anthony Hopkins is in one. Like, every time Christopher Walken, like, every time I see an ad, there's a celebrity. But I don't know if that's necessarily a theme or it's like that's just every year they get celebrities to do it.
Well, I think the last few years we've kind of, I remember coming back here and talking about the ads, kind of going, they're not, I don't know. I feel like the ads have lost a little something.
Everyone always says that, and I poo-poo it because every single year people are like, oh, the commercials aren't that great, and yet there's always a handful that are standouts, and there's always a handful that are duds. Well,
I mean, that's all true, but that doesn't mean they're as good as they used to be. There will be standouts, but I think I remember last year the best one was pretty good, but nothing. I remember in the old days used to be wowed by Super Bowl commercials.
But it's like the dunk contest, in my opinion, is that it's hard to come up with new stuff because it's all been done, and we all have such stupid high expectations.
Yeah, what else are you going to do with the Budweiser Clydesdales at this point?
Exactly,
they've done everything.
The Bud Bowl was great, but if you go back and look at it, you realize,
come up with a new campaign. I mean, come on. Frogs that talk?
I got a clip here of an ad with Vince Vaughn and Tom Brady, if we want to do that.
Well, hold on. Okay, so the theme this year, and this probably will lead to the Super Bowl ad sucking again.
Okay.
Is don't offend anyone.
Okay. Not trying to rub any specific groups or taking shots at anybody.
No one wants to be the next Bud Light.
There you go. Well, that makes sense.
So playing it safe is a theme.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of safe S.
Well, that doesn't mean it's not good. How many Super Bowl commercials push the envelope? I watch commercials and I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes the GoDaddy stuff was sexy, but is any ones pissing off the Jews?
There's never been one where ooh, they went there, right? What? I don't.
It's usually not a thing, but
this is controversial. Boy, they're really attacking the African Americans on this one.
But I think right down to who you use, for example, if anyone has any sort of political commentary in their past, maybe you can't use them as a spokesperson because it would ruffle the wrong side, and I don't know, maybe some of that.
Right. Well, just put it this way. There are teams of people pouring over every one of these ads.
100%.
Thinking of every single way somebody could be offended.
Yeah.
That is taking that part out.
And it is amazing all the things that can offend people.
Imagine that is your job.
It's quite stunning to me, the number of... we brought it up yesterday with Brittany Mahomes, who's now in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Brit.
She was criticized for being ugly. And then she lost a bunch of weight, got in really good shape, had some plastic surgery, and now we're angry at her because she's too hot.
I'm not angry at her.
No, but people will be. Lots of
people are already trolling her, saying she's, oh, now you're hot. Oh, look at you. You think you're hot. Yeah, she looks great. So you can't win. They hate you when they're ugly. They hate you when you're hot. You can't win.
I got news. She's winning.
She's doing just fine.
Newsflash. She's winning.
The best Super Bowl commercials that I can think of off the top of my head. I remember the old Bud Bowl. Loved the Bud Bowl. I was always a sneaky fan, and I don't know if you remember it, but it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. The Volkswagen Darth Vader commercial.
The little kid.
The little kid who's desperately trying to use the Force. And
wonderful.
He gets the car to turn on. Wonderful. Oh, my God.
Wonderful.
I remember seeing that and thinking that thing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was just because now I'm
the Bud frogs were pretty funny.
I don't even, were those Super Bowl? I'm trying to remember, what was the Super Bowl commercial and what was it?
I thought the next iteration when they did the Wazza guys.
Wazza.
And then they kind of changed it each year. There was the Wasabi year. There was the preppy white banker year where they did the what are you doing? And they had a different iteration for many years. It was a running bit.
And I know it's not, we can't do it anymore because it's political and everyone hates it, but I remember the Clint Eastwood doing the It's Halftime in America that I really liked.
That was a one-off, though.
Yeah, that was a one-off. But it was, it was one of those, hey, stop being a bunch of a-holes to each other and,
No.
It felt good. It was
not
like
what we do here.
It was like one of those like bring us all together. Halftime in America. I remember that one and being like, that was awesome.
Did you see what DoorDash is doing?
No, what's old DoorDash got?
I'll tell you next. It's pretty wild. That will be on their Super Bowl ad. We'll talk about it next. Here's Buck with SportsCenter.
This is a Super Week edition of Primetime.
I didn't realize that was a Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, that one was great.
That goes top 10. The E-Trade Talking Babies.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Was
Pretty
up
good.
there.
They're like trading stock tips in the cribs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Betty White Snickers.
Don't remember that.
Was one. The Clydesdales, normally they go for 2. Where they
line up to kick the extra point.
They line up to kick the extra point after like scoring a touchdown, and the guy goes, "Oh my God, do they normally do that?" Nah.
It's like 2 cowboys leaning on the fence. They didn't usually do that.
Yeah, they normally go for 2. There's the Viva Young, the Taco Bell one, where all the old people go out and get all ripped and then go to Taco Bell at like 2 in the morning from like the nursing home.
I don't remember that, but it sounds funny.
Michael Bublé versus the Bubbly. That was from just a couple years ago. They put that one out there. Alexa loses her voice from 2021, where they get like Cardi B and all the different celebrities to do the voice of Alexa.
See, all the newer ones aren't as memorable to me. The old ones are, and it's probably just my era and my age, but the old ones are so memorable. These new ones don't stick.
And they said it's obviously it's bad now because of what happened, but they said that the Don't Miss Out, the FXT with Larry David is pretty good. Where like don't be Larry David, and Larry David goes through all the things that he hates that he doesn't think are gonna work, and now that ended up being kind of. Whoops.
Uh-oh. Well, DoorDash's ad this year is making a pretty big play. They have a 30-second spot, and they're throwing out a sweepstakes that offers one viewer the chance to win everything that is advertised during the Super Bowl.
Ooh. So
everything.
So BMW.
Yep. 30-pound tub of mayonnaise, apparently.
Yeah, I think that's Kate McKinnon's doing a Hellman's ad, if I'm not mistaken.
There's an odd pairing.
Well, yeah, they're doing, because a bunch of these, and some people are saying that one of the reasons why the commercials don't hit as much is a lot of them have already been released. Like, we talked about the Paramount Plus commercial, which is just, it's the best thing I've ever seen. But they're going to do a Super Bowl ad, but they'll shrink it down because it's not going to be 2 minutes. So they'll do a shortened version of that, and we've already seen the full one. So, yeah, some of these have already been released.
Yeah, we talked a couple years about why they do that, and it's just the buzz is worth the 2-week buzz is part of it.
Yep.
So this is saying that with about 60 to 70 advertisers vying to impress a television audience of more than 100 million viewers, advertisers this year are paying $7 million for 30 seconds of airtime during the Super Bowl. DoorDash's sweepstakes approach is striking because the delivery service is parlaying off of other marketers' messages, promising viewers that they could have a chance to win everything that's advertised during the game. A teaser for the sweepstakes says the entrants have the chance to win all the snacks and every automobile advertised. The sweepstakes also has a message given that the promotion ties into DoorDash's services of delivering products to customers' door. And the chief marketing officer of DoorDash said, "We're using this as an ignition point about a broader discussion that can help drive a reprisal of DoorDash. The message is that you can get everything on DoorDash. We've evolved beyond more than restaurants."
Yeah, the ad I'm looking at here, you'll get M&M's, Dove soap, Popeye's chicken, Doritos. You'll get tax services. Multiple cars. Looks like there's a BMW, there's a Ford.
You're probably getting a truck or two.
Yeah, you're getting a truck or two.
So the ad, what you're probably asking, what the hell how they're gonna do this? There is a lengthy promotional code.
Yeah.
That you will have to enter correctly on their website.
And
that code is going to be in their ad. So you have to watch for the DoorDash ad. Yeah. And there's a code.
They get to boost a bunch of web traffic for it.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
after hitting enter, the entrants will be asked to provide their name, email, and phone number, which counts as one entry. Each viewer is only allowed one entry. If you enter the promo code incorrectly, you may get another chance to correct the code. If no one enters the promo code correctly, DoorDash will hold a second chance drawing. That's going to be hard.
Boy, this code is
going to be hard.
Maybe they're going to make it difficult. And now I can't wait for the Twitter deepfakes trying to fool people with the wrong code so that people can try to get the right code themselves. It's going to be a circus.
Well, that is because I would assume you just take a screenshot and then do it. But I wonder if it's going to be like, is that a 0?
There's got to be a twist to it.
Is that a 0? Is that an O? Is something capitalized or not? And is this thing going to be like 72 letters? Basically, you ever go over to your parents' house and you're like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi? And then they hand you the piece of paper.
And it's like the random one that came with it. It's all uppercase, lowercase, switching numbers.
Oh my God, Dad. What are you doing?
Change it.
That's the Wi-Fi code. Why don't you just change that to your last name and one?
You want to make his head explode? Tell him to change the Wi-Fi password.
Can't happen.
So they're saying the estimated value of all the items is $480,000. Could be up to 6 cars. So you got BMW, Kia, Toyota, Volkswagen. Additionally, you'll have 1,000 Popeyes chicken wings.
There you go.
24 Dove beauty bars. You could use that.
Absolutely.
20 packages of family-sized Oreos. 25 cans of Pringles, a 30-pound bucket of mayo, as we mentioned, 80 drumstick dessert cones, a Kawasaki off-road vehicle, and 720 Reese's peanut butter cups.
If I win, Rob, you can have the tub of mayonnaise, and Buck, those Reese's peanut butter cups, those are all yours, buddy.
Wonderful.
Can I make a play for the cups?
Oh, you want the cups instead of the mayonnaise?
Yes.
Whoa, we can make the cups.
Maybe we'll have to fight for them.
And, of course, I would love the Dove beauty bars.
Oh, no. No. Dove beauty bars are a quality product.
You know what? I'll take the...
I'm not handing those.
Can I get the Kawasaki off of you?
What are you going to do with an off-road vehicle?
You're not. Yes.
No, you're not.
I'm going to use it.
You're not.
I'm going to put my golf clubs on it.
I was going to say, what on earth are you using an off-road vehicle
It's going to be my golf cart.
Can you use an ATV on a golf course?
They're not letting you take that thing down a fairway.
I don't think that's happening.
Cart path only,
I'm going to have my dog on it.
That's going to be a no.
My American flag.
Little Molly Two Poops riding roughshod and then the Kawasaki.
Her little goggles.
Little Kawasaki ATV. Let's go.
Well, anyway, watch for that. DoorDash.
Look, that's actually a really smart thing.
It's a good little promotion there.
Yeah, it is.
Because you know everyone and their grandmother is going to be on there trying to figure that damn thing
and everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
By the way, on those commercial ranking tips, apparently text line telling us that Chris Berman going to count down the best all-time Super Bowl ads tonight at 8:30.
I won't watch that.
On what?
On any
CBS.
Chris Berman.
First off, I wouldn't watch it, but the last person that I would watch it for is Chris Berman.
Back.
There could be something that I want to watch, and if you told me that Chris Berman was hosting it, I'd be like, how bad do I really want to watch it?
What about with a couple do-do-do-doos? You know those do-do-do-doos?
The do-do-do-doos.
What?
Have you seen that clip of him where he's talking about getting drugs from Canada and he's like live on the air?
No.
Oh, it's a whole thing.
I find Chris Berman to be, and this is a bold statement, I find him to just be utterly disgusting.
Derated.
I can't think of a media member, maybe Jason Whitlock. He
disgusting? What do you mean? Like just fat?
He's just he's a POS.
Why?
You ever read anything about Chris Berman?
No, I know nothing of him.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of creepos, but I'm just...
You get a little handsy?
I can't stand Chris Berman. Everything about that guy just drives me bananas. Can't do it.
All right, we'll be back to wrap it up after this on The Fan.
It's back by popular demand.
official word.
Well, the talk said that they had booze, weed, and coke in them.
Sounds about right.
And oh, by the way, 3 times the lethal amount of fentanyl.
Oh, hey.
And there you have it.
That's a hell of a football party. I mean, geez
well,
Louise.
my question is if, why do you... So booze, weed, and coke.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I get it.
For week 18 when all your players aren't even playing. That's really tying one on for the big event.
Well, maybe that's why. They're like, this game sucks.
Oh, there's nothing else to do. Let's
ramp it
go
up.
nuts.
Yeah.
But why the fentanyl? On top of it, like, man.
Well, maybe it wasn't ingested on its own. Maybe it was either with the coke or with the weed.
Perhaps.
And so like they weren't trying to.
Except the one bro was like a pharmacy guy, so you would think he would know.
Well, but that's the guy who's under the gun.
Yeah.
The homeowner is the pharmacy guy, and they called him the mixer or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about this the other day. And so he obviously gave them something that was, it was just a bad concoction.
Sure.
And that's why he's, on the lam. Yeah. Well, he's not on the lam. He's in rehab.
Yeah, and he's trying to just stay quiet and be like, I don't know what happened. What are you talking about? That's
but still, like, why? I don't know. Booze, coke, and weed should be enough.
I ask that question all the time. I like meth to me. Like, where do you? At what point do you like, what the hell? Let's do some
like
meth.
Everything else wasn't enough. All the other things you had at your disposal.
Go talk to a stripper sometime. Like
no.
You're like, what? Where in your life were you like, hey, we're just going along, having a grand old time, and I dabbled in some meth.
But
I often ask that question.
But is this the thing where, and that guy was the pharmacy guy, but is this a thing where you get coke and you think it's just coke, but then there's fentanyl in it?
It's possible.
Because isn't that what they say? The drug cartels put fentanyl in it because it...
Yeah, you don't have to put as much in. And
exactly. It gets you just as hot. Oh, well, it gets you... it can kill you.
Yeah, way worse.
But it's cheap. It saves them money.
Yep. Yeah. So, anyone... I talk to my kids about this all the time. Like, when I send my kids away, I'm like, dude, you cannot... I don't care where you think you're getting whatever from. Do not go down those roads. What did the police released a statement? They're saying like 70% of the drugs they get off the street are tainted. Like, what balls you have?
No kidding.
That's, and then they've got test kits and stuff. If you are gonna do some blow or whatever, but I guess that's the problem is if you're doing blow, you're doing heroin, how many people are like, well, let me double check and make sure this is safe?
Well, and it's not like you can go to the store and get those things.
Are you like
I do think those kits are somewhat readily available.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about the kits. I'm saying like it's not like you can go to the store and get coke or heroin that's, not tainted. That's not really an option.
But
you kind of have to go on the street.
Aren't you kind of killing the vibe? Like, hey, guys, sorry, I got to check this coke.
And that's the point, right?
Make sure there's no fentanyl here.
Yeah, I know. You're like,
guys,
well, if you want to live to do coke another night, that's what
and someone's like, really, look at this guy. Look at this guy. You're like, shut up and take that 100 and roll it up. Like it.
Yeah.
Again,
Be a baller.
I just think it's one of those lifestyles. I think it's one of those lifestyles that doesn't lend itself to be particularly safe, right? But again,
listen.
Shut up and be a baller.
Come on, don't question if there's fentanyl in here. Just trust. Come on.
What was there was a party down in California where like 10 comedians were hanging out and 9 of them died.
Really?
Yeah. And like one of them lived
Was this recently?
Yeah, I want to say this was in the last year.
Couple months, yeah.
Yeah.
Who all died?
There were a couple of them that I'd actually heard of. They weren't like large names, but they were like known LA comedians and someone brought some